Good. It has data again. Amazing. I had to flush the stream and start it up again. But hey. Oh, Snoot. Now that the stream has died because of that incident, it will probably have a minute or two delay for the encoding, so I hope I won't lose most of my people. Doing too many things at the same time can kind of be awkward. I just hope my stream won't segment in here, like that I'll have like a black zone of a minute or two, which I'll be able to cut in the how do you call it? The studio mode after the stream. Oh no, the stream has finished. Alright, I guess I did fail and I had to segment it in both part, but that's fine. More episodes. I'm gonna go and create a second thumbnail. Open the flat one. df hashtag 002. File save as df002. And the second installment will be on its way. I made it to the summer, so it was a nice place to cut, I guess. Hey, did I get some migrants? The merchant need a trade depot to unload. Oh yeah, I'll need a trade. Oh, the stream is over. So now I have to go everywhere and sweep back into the stream. Pause the stream everywhere again because it is now a new stream. Hopefully people won't be too mad at me for my lack of ability to do something well. At least stream or not close the tab I am streaming from, which would already be a good thing. Good. So let's go here and share the stream again. What's on your mind? My stream. Once again. Thank you, Facebook. Oh, no. That ain't the good link. That's the link to the previous one. I want to link to this actual one. Thank you for all the people who stuck through my errors. And I will post that link and come back to the game. Now, F1. I need some doors. Oh, yes. That's going to be another thing. Okay, so I'm going to dig in priority a whole ass entrance here that I will end up enclosing. And that will have a small access here so that people will be able to easily come in and out. Not even. Not even. Yeah, let's do it. If it fails, I'll know for the next time. Build, trade, oops, workshop, no. T for trade, no. D for trade depot. I'm gonna build it outside for now. Quartzite. There you go. So sorry about that delay in the stream. I hope everyone will come back from my error. Better do it now than when I try to actually be someone good at this thing, I guess. 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. What the heck is buttering me? Where is that from? Now, from Facebook. Oh, Discord, someone actually wrote me. Eh, more episodes, I guess. Yeah, big F. Biggest of F. I'm gonna send it to Dom. Hopefully, he's gonna watch my stream as well. And that's pretty much it. Yo viens laisser un lapis. Right, and we are back live.
There's a lot of girls right now being told that they're the victim of something they're not actually the victim of. Oh, you're the victim of economic abuse because your boyfriend wouldn't give you money to buy that purse. Oh, he's abusing me. Oh, I need to go to the police. This is what's happening, guys. This is what's happening. So if you are dating, if you've got a girlfriend, if you've got a wife, and she's got feminist friends, you need to be really freaking careful. In fact, I would
Yep.
suggest screening any potential partner for feminist views before anything else, and red pilling them before they get feminist views, because it's only through the red pilling process that they'll actually understand when feminist nonsense pops up. Women's studies started in Australia at Wollongong University. Yeah, in,
Oh,
in fact, in
sorry,
fact,
Sydney. This is another part I shouldn't describe. This is the trade part. I want some leather. I want some cloth from plant. I want some cloth from silk. I want craft. I want wood. I want some iron bars. I want some bronze bar. I want some copper bars. I want some steel bars. I want gems. I don't block. I want all of the seeds. I want all of the anvils. I want some crossbows and I want some battle axes. Why crossbow and battle axes? Because crossbow can also be used as a mace in close combat, and it's a ranged weapon for the hunters. And the battle axe is useful for chopping trees. If you're out of axe, your fortress will probably die at some point. But it can also be used in battle, so that's why I don't use the warhammer, the short sword, the spear, and the maces for now. But as soon as I'll have more iron production or metal production, I'll change for it. So I want some bolts because that will be very useful. Trap component, no. Picks, yes. Fortress without pick is a dead fortress. Headwear, handwear, footwear, legwear, shield no tanks. Well, alcohol, yes, just in case. Cheese, powder extract, meat, fish, plants, garden, vegetables, stones, cages. Copper cages can be smelted. Thread, you can do you can buy some threads and put them back into cloth and sell it back, so might as well get some. Flask and water skin useful, quiver is useful, backpack useful, sun useless, gas useless, miscellaneous, charcoal very useful, bucket nah, splints nah, crutches nah, egg nah, cloth yes, shroud yes, rope yes, bags yes, tools, nest box maybe, minecart yes, wheelbarrow maybe, maybe, nope, clay sheet mug, nope, escape done, confirm. Now what he wants fish, peppered meal, anvil, meat, rings, crystal, glass type, square, quiver, plant, headwear, and plants. Alright, so I need to be right back, I'm gonna let it run. Alright, I am back. Sorry for that delay. Let's go back to Sydney.
I've actually got a really, really interesting. This is a bonus topic for you guys. Let me just get this. Um, James Ramsey. Hopefully, I can find this. Ramsey Center. Ah ha ha! Here we go. I have. This is why I always save my bookmarks, gentlemen. You are in for a treat. I'm glad you're here with me today. Thank you so much for joining in. Haha. Staff left betrayed as university reveals Ramsey Center deal. So I'm so glad you brought that up, Darth
Sorry,
Vader.
Sydney.
Thank you so much.
Sorry. So, the Flowery Guild has many members the Citadel of Angel and now requires a guild hall. The location must be built and furnished with the hall designed for a farmer guild. Do you approve this request? Yes, I approve. So now, I'll go and do special room I dug out. I'll build some statue and then some tables. Oops, me. Oh, actually, one further because they shouldn't be straight face to one another if you want to place for the I did it again. The chair. C for chair. Bim bam boom. Bim. Actually, I'm just gonna put two at each place. It's gonna make a much more neat looking guild hall. There you go, 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 there you go. There you go. You two. You, you, you and you, you and you and you. Build chair here and here. Table here and here. Escape. F1. No. This rectangle. Okay. So at some point we should have more tables and chair here, and I'll be able to have a manager.
Much. Here we go. Because there was this guy called James Ramsey, and he passed away, and he actually bequeathed like a scholarship program. So it says a visiting fellow at the University of Wollongong has resigned in protest after the university surprised and angered academics by accepting a Ramsey Center funded degree in Western civilization without consulting staff. You know why? Because the staff would have screeched and complained and made sure that it didn't happen if they'd consulted them. UOW academics, University of Wollongong, that is, including visiting fellow Sarah Keenan, who handed in her resignation, woke on Monday to news the university has signed the deal. Let's have a look at Sarah Ramsey, shall we? There we go. We've got this feminazi here. Oh, yeah, she was so upset that she resigned. And she had a good job there too. She's probably one of the ones that's now crying that the coronavirus has taken away her job. But, what else? Staff at UOW say they were blindsided. There've been a lot of emails flying words like disappointed, betrayed, surprised. It says Professor Lee Dale, head of the Department of English Literatures. Skip forward, skip forward, skip forward. Under a deal signed on Friday and made public, the Ramsey Center will pay for 10 academics to teach the 3-year degree and give 30 students a year more than $27,000 each towards their living expenses while they study. I would have thought that uni students, particularly feminist uni students, would love getting free money. Particularly the socialists that want free university would love getting 27 grand a year to study. But no, they don't want 27 grand a year. It means they have to learn Western civilization and depart from their ideological position
Yep.
that they adhere to already. I'm sorry if the audio is going in and out. If I go like
Shake.
this, it goes down a bit, and then if I talk like this, it's a bit better. Let me just reposition this. There we go.
And
It's the first uni to accept the money, which is part of a bequest from the late healthcare magnate Paul Ramsey. But of course, the course has been deeply controversial at the universities where it's been proposed, with many academics, by which they mean feminists, saying it was European supremacism and accusing the center of trying to push a right-wing agenda. Ugh. Um, sorry, guys, I didn't have the screen up before. There we go. That's Sarah Keenan. That's the chick. That's the one I'm talking about. What the Ramsey Center seeks to do is institutionalize a far right intellectual agenda into Australian higher education, she said. Yeah, because people like you haven't been trying to institutionalize a far left intellectual agenda into Australian higher education, have you? No, not at all. And this Dr. Keenan, so she's got her PhD. She's based at the Birkbeck School of Law, right? She's from a school of law. Do you know how concerning that is that people like this are teaching law?
Very.
Um, Here we go. We're, we're very concerned
People who teach law makes the lawyer debates the law, and the law being debated change the law itself. So yeah, pretty bad.
about a lack of due process, the thing that gave you all the freedoms you have on this very. We're very concerned about a lack. Dr. Keenan, so she's got her
Sorry.
PhD. She's based at the Birkbeck School of Law, right? She's from a school of law. Do you know how concerning that is that people like this are teaching law? Um, Here we go. We're, we're very concerned about a lack of due process, lack of transparency, and lack of consultation on this very divisive issue. What, Western civilization, the thing that gave you all the freedoms you have, is somehow divisive, right? Professor Dale was concerned about how a focus on the great tests of the West, and particularly Europe, would affect Wollongong's reputation as a university strong in, wait for it, a university strong in feminist and post-colonial literature. I think it's a disaster, she said. I think it's particularly unsuitable for an English program like Wollongong, which has really been at the forefront of teaching women's writing, feminist approaches to literature, and post colonial literature. So basically, oh my goodness. Anyway, um, both parties agreed that a partnership on the right terms for both University of Queensland and the Ramsay Centre is desirable and achievable, the university said in a statement. The university was clear that independence with regard to academic decisions is a red line issue. The point was recognised and understood by the Ramsay board. They will continue negotiations from late January. So yeah, that's where it's at. And I just wanted to say thank you again to Stuart with another super chat. Says I meet this one question.
Sorry,
What do you
Snake.
think?
What I just did here while Sydney was talking and I was listening to his explication is I created a dining room and some throne room. So this is to the manager. So I'm gonna assign the table and the seat to the manager, and then I'm gonna assign this table and this chair to the bookkeeper. And now when I go into my N nobility, you can see that my manager and my bookkeeper are now um, at their optimal uh, setting. They'll increase their demands as our fortress grow, but for now they are happy, which means that I can stop using this repeat system to pass my to build what I want. I can instead, I'm gonna wooden bin, chest, barrel, bucket, all things I want. Um, I can go into my job. This is all the jobs that are currently waiting, and then M for manager. There are no active work order. Q for to increase an order. And now I want to say things like I'll need doors and rock doors to be more precise. I'll want 25 of them for now. Now, I want only one door. I'll want also statue. And I'll want probably 10 of them for now. I'll want some table, and I want 30 of them. I want some thrones, and I want 20 of them to match a table. I want some beds. I want 50 of them because I'll need tons of bed. What else? Drinks. Brew drink from plant, 0 forever. Q, brew drink from fruit, 0 forever. Then you go into the condition, and then you make a P for condition from product. If the amount of seed of drink is at most 10, no, this is not the condition I want because I want to change my inequality. So R, no, R is other condition. I changed it was Q. So D for delete condition. Delete condition, delete condition. Now the amount of drink is greater than 10, you will do it. Okay, so if the amount of drink is less than 10, you will start doing this job, which means that it will not be satisfied for next job because we have more than 10 drink. But now 10 drink is not enough in a dwarf fortress. So you want to add the n for number, and I'm gonna say 150. Whenever we are, whenever we have at most 150, start the production. If we don't have at most 150, so now if I go here, Z kitchen, yeah, you see I have more than about 200 reading. I don't have the precise measure yet because my bookkeeper wasn't in power and didn't have an office to do his job. You need an office to do some managers, clerical and administrative work. But now at least that's gonna be on the way. And you need to do the same from the drink from fruits. So C for condition, P for condition from product. I want to remove this condition, which is what C, D. And then I want to change the equality is at most 150. Go. That way you won't have a dwarf slaving away on the steel, especially when it's already filled. And if you have more than one carpenter workshop, from now on you'll get affected some jobs by itself. What do I want to do with leather? Bag, water skin, backpack, quiver, repeat, repeat, repeat. It's going to do it until it's out of leather. Now, P for furniture, L for leather, so that they'll stack some leather by the leather worker. And let's let it roll. And back to you, Sydney.
Think about happy wife, happy life. If they heartily agree, they're off my friends list. I think that's a fantastic screening. In fact, I'm going to start jotting down screening questions. What is it? What do you think about happy wife, happy life? You know, I actually had a friend of mine who brought a partner over from overseas to Australia, which we know is usually a bad idea. And this particular individual was saying about his um, a car that they were looking at, and he said he wanted to keep his car that he'd been building that he was like his pride and joy. And
Oh
she wanted
man,
him to get rid of it. She goes, "Oh,
how many stories of a man being taken out of his life work? And I don't mean like, oh, I've accumulated $100,000 over my life work and I've left 50,000. No, like I know someone who literally built the house out of his own hands. And since the woman didn't love him anymore, he just had to leave the house. Like a house he built out of his own hand. He couldn't even like buy her out of the house because the house he built of his own hands in the past was now worth so much he could never buy it. So he had to move in with his sister. Like, can you imagine that guy was like 70, 80? I think he's dead now because he was living like in a shamble of himself. It was terrible.
Happy wife, happy life. And I just had to interject. And I was like, yeah, well, what if he's
Yeah, happy wife, happy life until your wife ain't happy, and then your life ain't happy either.
not happy either? Do you think he's going to want to stay if he's not happy? That's kind of why guys stay in marriages because they're happy, right? And she thought twice after that. Yeah, yeah, she did. But yeah, anyway, guys, that was a year ago now. Actually, longer than a year ago, December 18, 2018. Time flies, hey? So yeah, this is the kind of nonsense that we are seeing. This is the kind of shenanigans. And look, even even Stevie Wonder, even Mr. Stevie Wonder, like the dude's blind as a bat, and he can still see that the decks are stacked against men, unless he's blue pill mangina, in which case he wouldn't see it. But you know what I mean. Anyway, look, I guess my point is the reason more kids compared to adults are realizing this stuff is because these kids are simply, I should say, look, these kids haven't been brainwashed yet. So they actually have an opportunity
The exact same word I used in the live stream one.
to make decisions for themselves. They're seeing things for what they are. They're not seeing things through a particular prism or lens or an ideology. And I think that that's why we have such a bright future to look forward to, because so many young kids are on YouTube. They're checking out their red pill content. They're hearing things from brothers like, me and you and people we know. And, we're giving them advice on how to live their best lives. And they're taking the advice. And I think it's great. And I think that the people that do truly adhere to red pill knowledge and the MGTOW philosophy and build themselves up and protect their assets, even if you're not planning to get into a relationship, man, you might find someone down the track and you get into a relationship with them. You should protect everything now as if you are going to get into a relationship, even if your intention is not to.
I often talk about this kind of subject, and I always come back to a specific term, which is risk management, which I think is a poor wording to be euphemistic about this, because it is not the risk you want to be managing, it's the consequences. I usually refer to it as a lottery ticket. Let's say there's a lottery ticket I can give you out. There's one chance in a million that you'll win $1 million. Would you take it? Of course. Like, it's a one in a million risk, but you'll get $1 million and it's free. Why not take it? But here's the catch. There's also one in a million chance that you'll die. Like, snap, if your number is taken, or life of slavery, whatever, the worst thing that can happen to you. One in a million chance. Now, is this free ticket still worth as much? The risks are the same on both sides, but the consequence management, $1 million on the same chances as death, is probably not worth it. Some people would do it because there's a thinking that you'll never get $1 million in your life, right? If someone works for $100,000 per year for 40 years, he'll make like $4 million before tax, before rent, before food. Like, someone working $100,000 a year cannot earn $1 million or have $1 million in his bank account through labor. So that's why I take $1 million when I say, because it's probably more than you'll make. Or if you work for $100,000 a year for 40 years nonstop, you'll make before tax 4 million. But we all know that you probably won't get more than 2 million out of it because of tax. You're a millionaire now. You get taxed like if you didn't make money. And probably that the girl who will be with you will take half of the remaining income, or at least you'll spend it on girl entertainment, rent, and such. If you manage to keep 1 million in your bank account through only labor, not stock investment and such, it's quite hard, if not ever. But I still feel that this $1 million risk or consequence is not worth your life. Meaning that I think that risk management, like when he said, even if there's a 0.1% chance, yes, always think about that occurrence happening. In case it happens, you'll already have preset out of it, and thought are still free. Use them while you can.
Because what happens if someone accuses you of something and tries to get your cash off you? That's what I'm saying. So you really need to be very careful.
Especially if you make $100,000 a year. How much does it cost for someone protected by the law to make a lie in order to squeeze money out of you? They'll say, "Oh, just give me 50,000 and we won't go to court."
About this stuff. And guys, I would also suggest look at countries that have non-reciprocal arrangements for family law enforcement, and if you can get property over there, especially if you can get it cheaper than here, and you can have lots of rights over there because you have property there, I'd say that's a great win. Anyway, gentlemen,
I agree.
I will leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave your comments below. Please leave a thumbs up. Please share this video. Thank you to all of you who dropped a super chat. I appreciate all of you. If you want to donate by PayPal, you can donate on the link below at paypal.me/SydneyMGTOW. And also shout out to Nice Guy from Land of the Losers. It is a really freaking good book. I couldn't put it down when I first started reading it. It is a tale of simp to successful with women. I've got a 20% off code in the description below. Help you guys save some cash. And also, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to all of you for trying out Brave browser. It is a fantastic alternative to Google Chrome. Works basically the same, but with more privacy. It costs you nothing to get. sydneymigtow.com/brave. The link is in the description below as well. And that actually does give me a little bit every time you download it and use it for 30 days. And that does help to buy the equipment. Like, guys, I'm going to share with you for a second some of the equipment that I've got at the moment.
I don't want to go into that detail, but I agree that Brave is an amazing browser and you guys should use it too. But that was it for Sydney MGTOW for today. Now, here is the question: what do I listen to next? I was thinking of Timcast IRL because I didn't watch the one yesterday and I really enjoy his work.
No, you should.
I'll add the link to the video in the description of this video in case someone wants to listen to it. Here, the link has been added to the description just in case someone comes onto the replay of this live stream and wants to listen to what I was listening to. Put it back at the beginning, and we have 2 hours of Timpool. Let's go.
Moderated, and it'll just be like the greatest thing ever done ever. It'll be the
Talking about the Joe Rogan debating Biden versus Trump.
highest rated piece of content ever produced, and I really do mean that. It's probably going to have millions of live viewers. It'll probably get 100 million views from people all over the world. Just these two guys sitting there. I don't think Joe Biden will do it. You think Joe Biden will do it?
Under the right circumstances, yeah.
I don't know. I think Joe Rogan's going to be like, here are the terms because we want this to be legit. And then Biden's going to be like, all right, I got teleprompter there.
I had a 1 in 7 chance.
1 in 7? Is that what you're betting on?
Yeah, it's not very good.
Well, if everybody listening right now says Joe must show on Twitter, because everyone knows Twitter is real life.
Yes.
I'm doing it right now.
I will
You're
do
gonna
it
do
too.
it right
I
now?
will do it
Joe
right
must
now.
We all
show.
know Twitter
Joe
is
must
real
show,
life.
and then maybe we can get like a trend going or something. Apparently, it was attached to a different trend. I can't remember which
Something about the Harris.
the Harris thing.
Remove that building.
campaign.
Anyway, that's the most important thing I can say to start the show.
Yes.
Just like this is it. It's got to happen. It'll be the greatest thing ever.
It really would.
Welcome to Timcast IRL podcast. I'm hanging out with some friends. We got Ian. He's sitting over here.
Hi.
He's got a comic book.
Oh yeah, I
It
do.
swears on it.
Snap.
This is the S posts. This is by George Alexopoulos. who-
It's just a picture of Nancy Pelosi tearing up the Trump speech.
This is really awesome.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. And of course, Lydia is here, and
Yes,
she's doing camera
I'm
stuff.
here as well.
And
Push
we're
buttons.
hanging out because we got some really interesting news. So I had covered this earlier in the day, that in Lancaster, where the riots had erupted over this dude. You guys both saw the video of what happened in Lancaster? Did you see it?
No.
Where the guy burst out of the door and he's got a knife and he's
No.
screaming and like.
Yeah.
No.
People noticed that the guy, as he was screaming and waving the knife, looked like one of the dudes from Doom.
Oh wow.
Well, no. Actually, is that what it's called?
first
That's
Doom?
horrifying.
The imps
People
are
are-
like the
That's just like a-
dark-skinned.
Yeah, that's it. Wow, really?
They
That's
were like, yeah, they
is
have
that
to shoot
racist?
Fireballs.
Man, I don't know.
Dude, all video games are racist.
maybe that's what the
All
meme
the
was
good
supposed to
games
be,
are
like a
racist.
racist
Heck
meme.
yeah, brother.
Oh, that's terrible.
Whoa.
I'm really sad this guy died, but I mean, if a guy breaks out of the door and he's waving a knife and screaming, so the cop did the right thing. Like right when the cop shows up, this dude breaks out of the door, and then the guy just bursts through the door and he's got a knife and he's screaming, and then the dude turns around and runs. The cop runs, and then the dude waving the knife, the cop is running. He can't run fast enough. He turns and he shoots the dude with the knife.
So
Dude with the knife dies.
part of this is that I don't know if you were aware. I'm sure that you probably were, but this guy was actually on probation for having stabbed 4 people.
Right, yeah.
So he was running around with a knife.
Apparently, had stabbed 4 people in the past unprovoked. That's what I was reading.
Yeah, he was a little bit unhinged.
So yeah.
Sadly.
So to clarify this, you saying the cop went into the guy's house?
No.
Where did they?
He got a call. He walked to the house, and the dude bursts out of the door like, ah!
Oh my
and he's got a
gosh.
knife. And the cop's like, ah! And he runs. And then the guy's screaming and chasing him. And the cop turns
Yeah.
because the guy's gaining on him. And anyway, we'll get into all this. A riot, broke out. So the cops apparently did like late night raids and arrested all of these people. And now they're apparently being they were arraigned. $1 million bond,
So
$1 million
they went
bound,
at
eh?
night when they went back to their house and went to sleep. They
I guess.
A whole life of working at $100,000, and they wouldn't even make it, supposing those guys are even able to get a job.
Yeah, we saw videos of like that's what's being claimed. I haven't seen a lot of stories about it, but I've seen like the Blaze tweeted that there were raids, just real quick. They pulled up in vans, ran out, grabbed people, cuffed them, brought them in. $1 million,
dude, good.
which means I think they have to pay $100,000 if they want to get out, which
Oh.
means they're not getting out. And guess
Okay.
what? Next day, no riots. How about that?
Wow.
Yeah,
And no DNC paying to get their bail paid this time.
$100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess not.
No
Well, yeah, that's
GoFundMes.
that's like the Minnesota bail fund thing, and the Democrats were all about it back then. No, they're not gonna pay the stuff now because they're freaking out because of it. But here's something interesting. So it's being claimed now that one of the dudes who got arrested worked
Do I
for a
have some
news company.
petitions? No.
He didn't.
Oh.
He worked for the parent company.
Human Spearman,
So there
Dwarf,
is Lancaster's
Human
biggest
Crispleman.
online news source. He worked for the parent company
Poet.
doing like client services or something. Kind of related. And then other people noticed that this news outlet is actually producing favorable content to Antifa.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what's the parent company do?
It's called LNP. They do everything.
They just own a bunch of
Yeah,
different...
I think it's fair to say it probably is a news company in the sense that all of the other things they do are like client services, like advertising and SEO and stuff, which is arguably peripheral to the news outlet. Or you can argue the news outlet is meant to advertise their parent service.
Yeah, jeez. Great news.
But regardless, the dude probably worked in an office with a bunch of the same people, and he's going out and rioting with Black Lives Matter. So I'm not going to say he's Antifa, but probably sympathetic to the far left. So anyway, we're going to read this. We're going to go into all this stuff. We got all that stuff set up, and I don't want to go too far into it. We got a bunch of other stories. Major breaking news. A man took a dump on Nancy Pelosi's driveway.
Hold the horses.
This is
Stop the engines.
Yeah, this is huge. Breaking.
That's so
I'm sure,
gross.
I'm sure.
Huge news.
Actually, so when I first
That's a big duty. Quite the doo-doo they have.
heard the story, I was kind of grossed out. I was like, what the,
Why?
what is, and then someone made a really, really important point.
Yes.
Pooping on the street in San Francisco is legal.
What?
Yep.
Yeah.
Why?
Yep.
Because
Oh,
homeless
because of the
people.
homeless population.
Yeah.
It's-
He got detained. He didn't get arrested.
You know, I've heard it's not the poop that's dangerous. It's the stuff that grows on the poop.
It's bacteria. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
the
don't fear
issue.
the poop.
I think San Francisco is the only major city with a poop department,
It's
like a fire department.
like third world.
Yeah. So we have like a fire department. We pay our taxes, and they're like, oh, there's a fire, and they come out and they spray it with water. Well, San Francisco has a poop department. I'm
Oh,
not
there's
joking.
poop.
This is not a
Come out
joke.
and spray it with
This
water.
is not a joke. there's poop, and then someone goes like, "We got poop over here," and then the poop squad comes and the poop department and they spray it and they clean it up.
Poop patrol.
I think they do call it poop patrol. Yeah.
Whoa.
But I think poop department is feces department.
You
What do
gotta
call
have.
it?
You have to have one though.
I don't know.
No,
do
you shouldn't have to
I
have
don't
one.
have one here.
But they do need one. But we got a bunch of other stories too. Jim Cramer called Nancy Pelosi crazy Nancy, and we're going to talk about mail-in voting being broken, and everyone knows it, and all the journalists know it. But for some reason, the political journalists are like, Trump without evidence said mail-in voting works. It's like, dude, we got it all busted up. But I'll tell you what, right now, we're gonna talk about what happened with the rioting. We'll go through this stuff, and I'll show you the arrest reports. But Rasmussen found that a lot of people have experienced violence from these riots, and it's going to affect their vote. And the Atlantic wrote an article. They've been screaming it in our faces, the Democrats, that if Joe Biden doesn't win, they are going to get violent.
Oh yeah.
Get violent.
That's kind
They're gonna get more violent.
Okay.
They're gonna come and they're
There
gonna
you go.
smash everything up. So let's jump right in. Before we get started, make sure you smash that like button,
Hit it.
subscribe, hit the notification bell, and tweet out #JoeMustShow, followed by Joe Biden on the Rogan Experience with Donald Trump. 4 hours. We demand it.
It's gonna be great. And hey, share this video right now
yeah.
with your friends.
Correct. So
Fire it
it's really
out.
trending. Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah.
check this out.
Yeah.
First, let me just show you this right here. Check it out. This is from Lancaster Crime Watch, PA. For those that aren't familiar, there was some rioting in Lancaster. And for those that aren't familiar because you live under a rock, there's been rioting sweeping across this country for quite some time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to do with Black
110th
Lives
day of
Matter,
no war in Blessing
overlaps a little
Say.
bit with Antifa. And whenever there's some kind of police shooting, regardless of the circumstances, people riot.
Regardless.
Like in Chicago, there was a dude who, I guess he was shooting at cops, and they shot back and injured him, and like shot him in the shoulder. And then everyone just went out looting and rioting and destroying everything.
When did this start? Like
Dude.
a year ago? 6 months?
I mean, it started in 2012 with Trayvon Martin, I guess.
Okay.
But then it's escalated to the point where it's like you got people sitting there waiting, and they're like, "What's that? A shooting? For what reason? Who cares?" And
Right,
they run out the door.
when
and then
they fire back and they try and protect themselves, and then there's a riot because of that. That's really weird.
Lancaster, PA is a cop running away from the dude. So in Lancaster, the guy burst out of his house with a knife, and the cop runs. And then the cop can't get away, so the cop turns and shoots a guy. Anyway, this resulted in rioting, of course. Well, a bunch of arrests got made, and according to The Blaze and some reporters on the ground, the cops did like a methodical, I don't want to call it a snatch and grab like the activists have been calling it, because they were in marked vehicles. They pulled up and they were like, "You're under arrest because you are rioting," and then they arrest these people. And here's the latest we got. This is from LancasterCrimeWatchPA.com. I don't know how credible this is, but this does fall in line with a lot of other stories, and it has photos. So I do have the mainstream story here, the local outlet Penn Live, and it does mention all these same people. So check this out. They say, this is a press release. This press release has been edited to reflect updates of the information released to the public. Those edits updates for September 15th are: booking photos that were not included in the original release have been added. Bail information that was not available at the time of the original release has been added. And of course, they have these people's information. So just very quickly, officers made a total of 8 arrests. It was 12. Whoa, the updated total is 12 adults and 1 juvenile. Wow. So more related to the arson and riot outside of the police station. The arrests were made at approximately 0300 hours and shortly thereafter. So the cops roll up at 3 a.m. and arrest these people. So all suspects were arrested. All suspects arrested were transported to the Lancaster Bureau of Police Station for processing and to be held for arraignment. 4 of the 8 suspects are from outside of Lancaster County. 2 of the suspects were armed with handguns during the protest and riot. Those handguns were recovered by officers after the arrests. Only Montague was charged with an offense related to illegal possession of a firearm. As of the time of this press release, not all the suspects have completed the booking process, and their booking photos are not yet available. This release will be updated when those photos are available. Not all suspects have been arraigned, and bail information may not yet be available. All charges were filed by Lieutenant Phil Burkheiser. And before I show any photos, I have to stress, innocent until proven guilty. It's entirely possible that the cops just arrested a bunch of people they knew were there, and then everybody gets blanket charges. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case, because that would be speculative as well. But I just want to stress that sometimes people get arrested and cops give them charges and they maybe made a mistake, or sometimes they falsely accuse people. It happens because I've personally filmed them do this. But here we go. Check this out. First, we got this guy. This is Jamal Sheriff Newman, $1 million bail. Then we got this guy, Barry Jones, $1 million. This dude, Frank Gaston, was actually on probation, so I guess he's just going back to prison. This dude is Joshua Dwayne Montague, $1 million. This guy, Matthew Moderman, $1 million. Now, this guy's important. Check this out. Charged with arson, institutional vandalism, riot, failure to disperse, obstructing a highway and other public passages, disorderly conduct, and defiant trespass. Additional counts of criminal conspiracy for all charges is included in the complaint. $1 million. These people are not getting out. Tala Gessner, $1 million. Catherine Patterson, $1 million. Taylor Enterline, $1 million. Look at all this. And then the rest of them haven't been arraigned yet. But here's the breaking story. So first, we got to focus on this guy, Matthew Moderman. This is the guy who's getting all the attention, and I'll show you why. But first, the Daily Caller. You want to give that a quick read?
Yeah,
What
sure.
does that say?
Lancaster, peaceful after night of unrest following officer-related shooting.
I wonder what would have happened that led to peace. Could it be that at 3 a.m, the police showed up, arrested the people who were engaging in arson and vandalism, arrested them, and then the judge said, "You're staying here until trial"?
Yeah, there are some instances where cutting the head off the snake works. And I think
Yeah.
Yep.
This kind of thing
This
is
is a
Well,
perfect example, yeah.
In Portland, they're just releasing them. So, yeah, if the cop sees a guy and he's throwing fire bombs and they arrest him and the DA is like, I didn't see a firebomb, and releases him, then they're going to go back out and the cops are going to be like, yo, that's the guy I arrested yesterday.
And they'll be like, hey, the cops aren't going to bust you if you come out with us tonight because they let us all go last night.
Exactly.
And
And
now
they what do they call it? I forgot what they called it. I forgot. They even have terminology for it, explaining what it means when you get arrested and then they
So
release you
dumb.
immediately without charge.
Wow.
In Portland, yeah, they've written about it.
Oh.
And so that led to ongoing unrest. This is a really tricky issue, though. I mean, people are innocent until proven guilty, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that the left has been pushing has been cashless bail, where the idea is it's not fair to arrest someone, accuse them of a crime, they've not been proven guilty, and then you demand they pay if they want to get out of jail.
And then in that case, would they get their money back if it turned out they were innocent?
Yes, that's how it works.
Okay.
So it's like you put up 10%, and then they release you, and then when the trial's over, you get your money back or whatever. And you can put up I think you can put up like hard assets too. I'm not super familiar, but the issue is, I think it's fair when the left says locking up poor people unless they can pay is unfair because rich people can pay.
Yeah.
So sometimes the judge will be like, I understand this person's rich, so we're going to set the number really high so that it's, the idea is if you give all this money, you're not going to want to run away from it.
So it should be like a percentage of your net worth or something?
No, but the judges have that discretion. The judge will be like, this man's worth, he makes millions of dollars per year, so bail set is $1 million. You can easily put up the $100,000, you're rich. And then they roll their eyes and go, oh, fine. But these people, they're probably all poor.
Yep.
There's no way they're going to pay that. So the judge was basically saying, I'm not going to let you out.
That's great.
But they're being, it's interesting, right? So here's the security versus freedom problem. It's them basically.
Don't you think people are going to be able to crowdfund them out if it's worth enough?
Being like, we're locking you up. You can't go.
So
Even though you've not been proven to be guilty.
a lot of what I've been seeing against this is that this is a violation of the Eighth Amendment, and I'd be curious for your take on that.
What is it? What's the
Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel or unusual punishments inflicted. What do you think about that?
Interesting. I mean, why didn't the judge just remand them because of the nature of the crime?
I don't know.
So that's the other issue too. It's like, while I can certainly say you're right, Eighth Amendment, that's interesting.
Yeah.
$1 million, you can't pay that. That's insane. However, there's also we have courts for a reason. They look at this and they say, look, the cops are putting their word on the line that you were starting fires and were acting violently, and so you're not going to be let go, and then we'll have a trial to determine, if you're guilty or not. It makes sense. If somebody stole, a lollipop from a liquor store or something, they walked in and they snatched it and they run away down the street and they get arrested for a petty crime, you get a citation or something. Usually, some cops might not even arrest you. They might be like, give me the lollipop back, give it to the guy. Or they might be like, can you pay him? Sometimes it really does work out like that. But maybe you're shoplifting and you get arrested. They'll say, okay, don't shoplift again. A lot of these people will still go out and do it, And so I guess the challenge is we're in this circumstance where you have violent offenders. We want to protect freedom and security, but we also want to protect our freedom and security as well. So what happens? You get caught at a riot, people are rioting, you ain't gonna get let out.
There's something to like a violent criminal getting busted and then going in and having like their bail set. But then when 8 violent criminals do 8 versions of the crime all together in the same night, it starts to become a kind of seems like a conspiracy. Like they're working together to do that.
Yeah, well, that's
Or
why
at
they
least
said
gang.
conspiracy charges were added on.
Oh, that's
That
great.
was a local crime watch blog. So it was a press release. Unfortunately, by the time we were looking at the bail, it was after hours. I couldn't call for a comment or anything like that. But here's where it gets interesting. So first of all, Lancaster was peaceful. Surprise, surprise. The cops were telling the truth. So you look at Portland, if they actually arrested the people and the cops were like, hey, these guys are setting fires, if you actually just held them and said, we're not going to release you because you're violent criminals, you've been arrested. Also, I just got to say, some of the same people were getting arrested over and over again in Portland.
That's nuts.
At a certain point, the judge is going to be like, okay, you've been arrested 4 times in the past week. I'm not letting you out. We're going to remand bail because you're a violent criminal. But so apparently one of these guys works. So check this out. This guy, Matthew Moderman, works. And so this is also listed on Penn Live. They mention all the people got arrested. And yes, Matthew Moderman is listed. And he does, in fact, work for a group called LNP Media Group, Lancaster Online. So LNP Media Group owns a site, Lancaster Online. And they say it's the #1 news website for Lancaster County with over 1 million unique visitors each month. That's crazy. 1 million uniques? There's probably people from outside of Lancaster who are reading this news. Well, the guy apparently works there. If you do a Google search, you will find that there is, first of all, LinkedIn. Oh, no, that's not him. That's someone else. LinkedIn, it shows Matthew Moderman, LNP Media Group. What do you think happens if I click this, though?
It's broken.
It's going to go right to his page.
Oh, no, it's not.
Shocking.
No results found. The page you requested could not be found. Try refining your search or using... Well, hold on. What if I use a cached version?
Yes.
There it
Oh,
is.
snap.
Yeah, see, I know how to pull up that cache. You click the little down arrow, and then you pick the cached version.
Yeah, man.
And there we go. Matthew Moderman was a client services rep for LNP Media Group. Your campaign craftsman, former rugby athlete, always learning. I can only assume that the same guy is the one who got arrested. There's probably a chance it wasn't.
There is a chance.
Yeah.
But that's a safe assumption.
I think it's a safe assumption. And this is a this LNP Media Group. He did client services, but they do own Lancaster Online. So a lot of people were saying that he was a journalist with a local news outlet. I don't think that's fair to say. He's not a journalist.
I have an elf bard in my fortress. Population 19, yes, but you, citizen, others, health bard, human maceman. Set go to unit, so him. Great, happy to have some visitors in my fortress. Now that I should have some rock mechanism. Build traps and lever shift T, lever L, and I'm gonna place a lever here. No. I'm gonna put the lever here. I'm gonna link it to the bridge so I can close the bridge in the case of an attack. Great, back to you, Tim.
But he did work at this company. And so it's interesting then. Imagine if, because maybe it's not the case, but imagine you have this news outlet that you do a Google search for their stories, and they don't really have anything much about Antifa. To be fair, I mean, maybe it's because Antifa's not really in Lancaster. But it does seem like a lot of their stories that do talk about the culture war and the conflict and the violence are actually pro-leftist. And so they talk about, like, there's one story about the Antifa hunter getting prison time or whatever, or getting jail time, getting arrested. And there are other stories about, white groups or whatever, but nothing I could find about Antifa. And there's actually a letter to the editor saying, where's the Antifa coverage?
Yeah. That was interesting to me.
So I'm not insinuating anything other than I think there's a bias in the media. And when you got a guy who works for this company, at least that's what he claims on his
Marketing
LinkedIn,
element to
assuming
is
it's the
growing
same guy
every
getting
day,
arrested,
and y'all are
literally
not gonna
writing charge
stop
of arson, and
us.
then they pull
Really
his
now.
information off the website.
Hmm.
Yeah, you know what, man? These people are in the bag for the far left.
This company?
No, I just mean media in general. They're urban centers. They're the liberal elites.
I think if they had to pick a side, they would pick the far left. The unfortunate thing is they don't have to pick a side, and they're just choosing to
they want to. They want to
because
choose a
it's
side.
fun, because it sells clicks.
I think it's because people always choose a side. Even back in the day, before the culture or whatever, there were sides. There was America versus Russia. Whose side are you on? Of course, everybody here, for the most part, was on the side of the U.S., but there were pro-communist people in the U.S., and it was really easy to pick your side. So everybody just wants to fit in. So if you're one of these people who just reads the news and you just watch CNN, you think the real world and normal people all hate Donald Trump. Everybody hates the man. How could he possibly win? But it turns out there's a large group of people who like Donald Trump and don't like the Democrats.
Dude, it's amazing how your scope, like you can zoom in by watching something a lot, and your scope like shrinks into that, and that becomes your main size. But then you can like zoom out and see there's CNN, there's Fox, there's stuff like this, like and
Right.
But it's easy to like hyper focus and like
Here's
zoom out.
It's not so much about hyperfocus. What I think is happening is that many of these people on the left are surrounded by people, and they want to be normal. They want to be the same. They want to be in the clique, right?
Everyone want to
pressure.
be normal.
Well,
and
I mean,
belong.
not even necessarily peer pressure, just like in group,
Yeah.
in group versus out group. So if you're sitting in a room, in a newsroom, and all the journalists are going like, Proud Boys, am I right? Yeah, high five. Come on, do it. Yeah. So dumb.
High five.
Trump is so stupid, isn't he? He doesn't even do anything.
Yes.
And you're sitting there, and you're like a marketing guy, and you're going, yeah, Trump is dumb. And you have no idea. But everyone around you, they're all saying the same thing. And so they watch CNN. CNN made a choice. But now there's other ways to absorb media, and there's also Fox News. So I think people like this, they would choose the far left because they don't think it's the far left. They think it's normal and regular people.
Wow.
In their mind, everyone is out in the suburbs going, Biden, woohoo! When in reality, they're all going, Trump, Trump, Trump. But they believe they're on the right side. Trump support, this is a really interesting thing about media consumption. Conservatives are under no illusion, for the most part. They believe there's a silent majority, but they're recognizing quite literally there are not a lot of vocal people supporting them. That's why there's the idea of the silent majority. They do believe they're on the right side, but they recognize there's a large group of people who hate them, who hate Trump, and the media hates them.
It seems like it's like these, if you want to call it far left or whatever, but there's this group of like deluded people that think Biden's awesome or that think a bad choice is better than Trump. There's this group of those people, and then there's everyone else, and all these other people are getting called conservative.
Yeah, isn't it crazy?
I'm in that group. I'm not like a diehard conservative.
Not even
you
close. My
you look like a
goodness.
hippie.
Yeah, but I don't
It's
fit with
true,
that
yeah.
far left, that narrative, that
Right,
weird
that's just
like, let's just
crazy.
do the bad thing, man, because I'm so sad. Like,
The crazy thing to me is that there's so many people that I know from like Occupy Wall Street that I can't believe have found themselves wrapped up in this weird far left insanity. Because during Occupy, there were very few people who committed violence. Very, very few. I'm sorry. In New York. New York didn't have a ton, like riot police and tear gas. They had cops wearing helmets and batons. They didn't even wear armor or anything. They'd have batons and they'd push. They'd wear gloves. The Occupy people, the bulk of everything that happened during Occupy was running through the streets. That was it. And the cops would arrest people running through the streets. I always found it kind of weird. It's like a group of people are running through the street. Oh no! And in 30 seconds, the cars can move on. But the cops would chase after them and then make arrests, and people would yell. And there wasn't a lot of actual like attempts to hurt people. But there were some. We called them the black
More
bloc,
rooms.
the black bloc anarchists.
Yep.
There was a small group of them. And I actually got one of the organizers from Occupy hitting me up, asking me if I needed security to protect me from these people. This is these are Occupy Wall Street people being like, hey, we love what you do. I wasn't, this was back when I was like, I'm not going to just film
They sure sound like a nice bunch of fellows.
things to make you look good. I'll film the police. I'll film the protesters. If they act a fool, then you get, on camera. And they're like, we get it. We totally get it. And then when I started getting attacked by these, what we would now call Antifa types, they were like, do you need security to help you to stop these guys from attacking you? And the idea was the mainstream press was lying about what Occupy was and what they were doing. And so they appreciated, even if it made them look bad, that I was down there and others were providing some kind of coverage that at least showed the truth, or at least as close to as you could get to it from just my lens. They actually protected me from these people. Today, there's a lot of these people that have just totally jumped on board with the lunatics running around smashing everything and attacking people.
Yeah, and I think Occupy, man, we almost had the cops join us. I was there, I was into that whole
In New York?
social. Yeah,
I don't think the New York cops were going to join.
I think the police nationwide were very close to calling out the banking industry. And
but
because of the violence of what we're seeing now, they're not anywhere near joining this.
I was told by someone from Youngstown, Ohio, and I've never verified this, so if you're listening, you definitely want to fact check this. They said that in Youngstown, the police and the firefighters were in with the protesters. And the city was like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? And the firefighters were marching and protesting, and the cops were too. And then all of a sudden, one day, the cops got every demand met. And then the cops immediately turned around and said, get out of here, everybody
snap.
disperse. You're all
Bribery is a powerful
Interesting.
force. Do not let yourself get bribed, my friends.
Seriously.
Yeah.
My mates.
So anyway, yeah, so the main reason I
right.
bring this up is we have these bubbles in media where they're all exciting each other. Like, I don't know if you've ever experienced this phenomenon, either of you guys, where you get 3 people in a room and leave them in a room for a long time, and you seed one person a negative story. You tell them something like, strawberries are actually bad for you. And then they all start talking about how they hate. He says, I hate strawberries. Yeah, me too. And then after a month of them just recycling the same anger and rage over strawberries, they end up screaming, destroy all the strawberries, and they're like smashing the walls and going to supermarkets and flipping tables. I'm exaggerating. The point I'm making is you put a group of people in a closed space where they can recycle this hate and spin it faster and faster and faster, and then they go insane.
And is it something to do with an odd number of people where you have a majority always going at a minority?
No, I don't think that's it. I think there's a really great video by CGP Grey called "This Video Will Make You Angry," where he talks about how you have groups of people that claim to be opposed to each other, but really just share information among each other about how the other is bad and never actually interact with the other
I would
side.
love to see people interact more, like Trump and Biden, or like people that.
Bro,
that's what we need right now.
Politics flows in one direction. If you are on the left, you are very likely going to be attacked at some point. And the right is sitting there waving you over saying, we don't care what your politics are, come hang out with us. The right actually has, like, I shouldn't say the right, but they're like the anti-SJW.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Actually has, like, dirtbag leftists who are like, we agree on that. Like, you can actually have someone who's very, like, progressive in an economic sense, agreeing with a hardcore Trump supporter because they think the far left has gone insane.
Yeah.
Particularly, like, the cuties thing. Seeing, like, Marxists on Twitter be like, no!
Yeah, and maybe we need stuff like that in society so that it gives us something to unify against, like to see how crazy things really can get. Like that's something we can all get down with.
Maybe
for most of us.
that's why Ozymandias, man, staged an alien invasion.
Who's Ozymandias?
Yeah.
Oh,
from
that ancient
Watchmen.
ruler?
No, from Watchmen.
Oh.
He staged the alien invasion.
Yeah.
False flag.
Yeah.
Right, so that the Cold War ended and all that stuff. So anyway, not to go off on a tangent. We got to jump to the next portion of this. What the riots will all turn into, especially when you have media outlets that are sitting in these rooms agreeing with each other. We hate Trump. We write it. Listen, I'll give you the short version. Writing about Trump in a negative light makes money. Mm-hmm. So newsrooms are constantly looking for negative stories about Trump. That eventually catches some Antifa rhetoric into the mix, and now you have these newsrooms of clicks just spinning faster and faster. Because their editor was like, can you write anything about how Trump is bad? They're like, yes. Then they're sitting there, and the marketing guy is like, what happened? Yeah, did you hear? Like, Trump's totally, like, worse than Hitler. Oh, he is? Like, that's crazy. And now you've got this rhetoric building up in the newsroom. And these people absorb this all day, every day, nonstop. Because the bosses are like, it makes money. Keep feeding them. Keep shoveling it in. And all they do is they're told, look for stories about Trump being bad. Eventually it blows up. Figuratively. So let's do this. Let's talk about what this means come election time. Before we do, tweet out #JoeMustShow and include Joe Biden must join the Joe Rogan podcast with Donald Trump for a 4-hour moderated debate. I wonder if Joe's going to be like, what's Tim doing? He's really pushing this.
Push it.
I don't know. Should I be?
Yeah,
should I be
sure, we
telling
all
everybody?
should be. Yeah,
Yeah.
we need more
Dude,
debate.
dude, Joe Rogan said he would moderate this, and I hope he wasn't just, like, kind of saying it. I hope he was serious.
He was serious.
Because Trump was
We
like,
should find out.
Trump said he'll do it.
Yeah, that would be
And
great.
it would be the greatest thing ever. So hashtag Joe Must Show, and that would be epic.
That's what we need. Debate. He's a great listener too. That's what
is.
makes him a good moderator. He doesn't
Yes.
shove
Right.
questions. He
But he does ask incisive questions.
Oh yeah.
He's like, so what do you think about this?
Somebody
the fear
said,
factor guy.
somebody said the first thing that's going to happen is Joe's going to be like, why the F is pot still illegal?
Yeah. Have you ever smoked DMT? Have you ever smoked
Yeah,
DMT?
exactly.
They're both going to say no.
Where's
Well,
that?
yeah, they'll probably both say
but
no.
the reason why it would be so amazing is because you're
Let's keep
finally going to
digging.
hear questions asked of both of them you wouldn't hear from
Yeah.
anyone
Until I
else.
can
anywhere
find a
else.
Psychedelics,
cave.
That's a big conversation about
Aliens,
mental health. Right.
robots,
Aliens,
AI,
yeah.
Neuralink. Like, what do you know? What we're going to get at the debates. Trump, your policy on
Oh, yeah.
Iraq has been
I'm
to
gonna
withdraw.
build
Now,
some
Biden,
fake
you've also
inside
talked about
farm.
withdrawing, but you believe we need a small. It's like I get it.
He'll talk about
They
pardons.
wrote it all down.
He just had Snowden on the show today. Rogan did.
And Trump agreed. You know what that means? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Joe's going to be like, "Yeah, man, you should pardon Edward Snowden."
Yeah.
And then Trump's going to be like, well, we're looking. He's like, well, you should look into it. You should also pardon Assange. And then Trump's going to be like, okay, well. And then Rogan's going to be like, didn't you say you loved WikiLeaks like back when you were campaigning? Like, it's going to be real conversation.
Yeah, that's what we need.
Epic.
That'd be so much fun.
Anyway,
I would love it.
we were talking about riots.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Smash the like button,
Just riot.
Or
on
we
that
will
like
riot.
button.
Yeah.
or we will riot.
That's right.
Pound on the
Crush
table
it.
until the UFO collapses. Smash that like button, subscribe, and get in your super chats if you want. We're gonna address super chats later. But we got this poll from Asmussen.
Oh.
Check this out. So I'm sure for those that are just tuning in, just for those that don't have the context, you're aware that riots have been happening.
Oh.
We just went over how in Lancaster they had these riots. and at
Lancaster.
Lancaster?
I'm told. Lancaster.
Lancaster.
Pronunciation.
Oh, and it's
Yeah.
Puyallup. We were saying that. I don't know
Puyallup.
what- Yeah. No, not.
We
Pu-
can't
there's
pronounce
no-
words
there's
on
no
this
E
show. What do we
in it.
look like?
Puyallup.
Okay, anyway.
Thanks, chat.
Lancaster?
Lancaster.
Okay, fine. Someone's
Yeah.
tricking us.
I think so. I think they're pulling the wool over our eyes. But I've seen it a few times. Lancaster.
I don't know. Google
Lancaster,
it.
that's
Google the
Irish.
Okay, well.
pronunciation. Someone trying to pull a fast one on us. Anyway, there were riots in this central PA town about 60
It starts
miles
with an
west
L?
of,
Yes.
of Philadelphia. And they did 3 a.m. raids, gave these people $1 million bond, and poof, the riots are gone.
Surprise!
But, so interestingly, one of the rebuttals, I guess, from the journalist class, which are totally out of touch with America, has been, the riots have been small. I can walk around my town and everything's fine. There's a video I love. It's this dude in like a wealthy area of New York, and he's filming himself fake crying, going, oh, it's so miserable in New York. Look, people are eating sandwiches at restaurants and people are having ice cream. And then he pans a little more, and the ice cream shop is called Big Gay Ice Cream. And he goes, gay ice cream. And then he's like walking, fake crying. And then he stops and he goes, stop watching Fox News. You know why I think it's hilarious? Imagine going to like a garbage dump and then going to the front office where it's actually a building and there's like a PlayStation and the guy's sitting there and he's playing games and you're like, I'm at a garbage dump. This guy's got like, he's got like a Coke machine. He's got PlayStation. It's so nice. And then out back, it's just flaming trash and garbage everywhere. You get these people who go to the wealthiest areas and they're like, everything's
It's
fine.
fine.
I'm atop my ivory tower and I've noticed no problems with riding in the
No
streets.
problem
Yeah, that's
at
the
all.
Chinese Uyghur. People have been hitting me up on Twitter saying it's not real. It's Western media propaganda. I've went to was it Xinjiang? I think is the and it's I toured where I went. It
super
was
nice.
fine. So that
Yeah.
means that it's not happening.
Potemkin villages.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all
So here's
fake.
the poll. Here's the poll. They like to claim that everything's fine.
Yeah.
That, look, the protests are in a small area. Well, check it out. 3 out of 4 voters who've had violent anti-police protests in their community rate those protests important to their vote in the presidential election. Among these voters, a sizable majority like the job the president is doing. The latest Rasmussen reports National Telephone and Online Survey finds that 42% of likely U.S. voters have had anti-police protests in their community this summer. Nearly half of these voters say the protests in their community have turned violent. Among all voters, 65% say the violent protests are important to their vote in the presidential election this fall, with 41% who say it's very important. Among those who have had violent protests in their community, even more, 76% rate them important to their vote, including 54% who say they are very important. 63% of these votes strongly approve of the job Trump is doing versus 35% who strongly disapprove. Now I'm going to stop right there. Where are these riots taking place? Are they taking place in the countryside?
I don't think so.
Are they showing up to like Amish town and like,
Not
you know?
yet. No.
No, are they showing up to like small conservative church areas?
Negative.
No, they're in urban areas. They're
Yep.
in urban and suburban areas, and Donald Trump needs to win the suburbs.
Interesting.
Yes, it's very interesting, isn't it? So these people who are answering this and saying they've experienced these violent protests, I'm willing to bet a large portion of them, it makes sense, right? Why it says 42% have had anti-police protests in their community. Yes, because the other 58 live in areas outside of rural areas,
How
right?
many people did they poll for this, by the way? 2,000?
Uh,
Ridiculous.
What do you mean?
How many people got polled? I didn't get polled. They said
1,000.
1,000 people. It's
Well,
like,
that's normal, though.
so okay, these numbers are just like, you could almost call them irrelevant.
They're just
I
representative.
disagree. First of all, I will say, in the sense that the polls have been wild and outrageous across the board, yeah. Rasmussen actually was the most, one of, if not the most accurate in 2016
Shove
as
the major
per
Q.
the national popular results. They nailed
Barrels.
it. They got it right.
When you measure 1,000 people's beliefs, that doesn't mean that you just times 10 it.
They're
People
not-
are so different everywhere you go.
It's true, but they're not just calling 1,000 people in New York and then being like, well, there we go. They're selecting a bunch of different areas and then grabbing a few people from each. And then they do, it's how polls work.
Inductive reasoning.
So, I mean, you can argue the polls are bunk.
I will.
And yeah, and I think it's fair actually because we've seen a lot of bunk polls. In fact, I was commenting on this earlier today. The Real Clear Politics average for Trump, it's like +3, -17, -6, -14. And I'm like, what's with that insane swing?
It's because they'll poll like 2,000 people and then 6,000 people and 1,000. It's like there's 350 million of us. If you're
No,
going
it's
to
just
poll one zero
Different methodologies.
trillionth of a percent of a population, you're going to get vastly inaccurate data.
I disagree. I think the polling they do, like they break it down and explain to you exactly how they did it. It was a survey of 1,000 likely U.S. voters conducted September 9th to the 10th, 2020. The margin of sampling error is +3, -3, with a 95% level of confidence. Field work, blah blah blah. They go through all of this stuff. Like they break down their methodology for how they zoom in on one area, interview a couple people, and then zoom out and then look at other areas. So you can argue that it's definitely like a game of Sudoku, where they're like looking at all these people and then trying to fill in the gaps. But there's a margin of error. What a lot of people don't understand is that the polls in 2016 were not actually all wrong. It was the pundit class that were like, if Hillary Clinton's up 2 points, Trump will never win. And then he did, and he lost the popular vote. And Rasmussen got it right. Rasmussen said she was going to win +2. Hillary Clinton +2. So, look, you can argue that the polls are wrong.
Or very small.
But sure. But I think this makes sense. And we'll extrapolate from there. So first, 42% of likely voters have had anti-police protests in their community. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
Because you got to realize a lot of people are in densely packed urban centers. So you get 10 protesters marching through the street, and 10,000 people are going to be like, "Whoa, we got protests on the street." And then you've got 58%, which are suburban and rural, who probably would never see these. However, a lot of the rural people are watching the news and going like, "Man, that's crazy. Sending the cops, arrest these people." But the fact that, so 48% said they turned violent. So that's like just shy half of those who saw a violent protest.
Holy cow.
That's intense.
Yeah,
Again,
it
assuming
is.
the polls are accurate. Among
Assuming.
all voters, 65% say it's important to their vote in the election. I have to imagine these people are probably suburban voters. I think if you take like a New York liberal progressive, they're going to watch the riots and go, "Woohoo! Yay!" And they're going to lie about it. And they're going to vote Biden because they hate Trump and it's tribalist. But you take suburban voters who don't care. Like, actually, a good example is this. The New York Times went to Kenosha, and they interviewed some guy who was like, "I don't know anything about politics, and I don't care, but man, these riots, wow, that's so messed up." Now this person's going to be going to the voting booth being like, "I don't know, man, we need Trump to come in and just arrest these people."
Right, you don't change your chief of your chief of command during a conflict. That's kind
During
of,
unrest.
Part and parcel for United States government, just government in general. You don't rarely change your commander in chief when you're in a war. And
Nope.
if people see this as a domestic war, they're not going to want to change their commander.
Nope.
I mean, that's true, but imagine this. Let's say a Trump Biden debate. Perhaps on Joe Rogan, hashtag Joe Must Show.
Yes.
And, Joe's like, yo, like, we're watching videos of these riots, man. This is crazy. And then Joe Biden's going to be like, I condemn the riots. I called out the violence. And then Trump's going to be like, excuse me, you never said Black Lives Matter or Antifa. Excuse me, your campaign. No, Joe, your campaign bailed these people out. That's true.
Dude, Trump's on the pulse. He's been following this stuff.
Yep.
And
a
it's-
search dog.
Dude, Trump is the internet's candidate.
Yeah.
He is.
He's
No doubt.
online. His staff are online. They're plugged into what people are talking about. The problem is the online left is totally insane.
I know.
They're crazy.
So weird. Like, I love Rachel Maddow. I used to really like her and appreciate what she does, but she just kind of went nuts with the
Sorry about
Russiagate
that.
stuff in 2016. And I
yeah.
was so disappointed and like, where are you taking these millions of people, Rachel? Why?
Where?
Look at
She's
the
like-
broad scale.
And they banned Alex Jones. And they banned him. I mean, the crazy thing about all that is when Alex Jones goes on and says, like, people, the cell towers are mutating people into cows or whatever. I watched the Joe Rogan podcast episode with him. He talked about, like, animal hybrid.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, dude, I was in Sweden and I heard, I'm at a Thai restaurant with my friend Emily and we were doing this project. And all of a sudden we heard Alex Jones and we're like, what? And we turn around and there's three young dudes laughing as Alex Jones is like ripping his shirt off. People knew a lot of what he was doing was silly entertainment. It was like WWE. He's talking about crazy stuff that people found funny. But Rachel Maddow she's a serious newswoman.
Right.
So when she comes out and says,
Serious
Russia
newswoman.
is coming to get you, everyone's like, ah.
Yeah. She's got a lot of people believe her, like, right
Yep.
on her every word. And I have friends from LA. I was in LA, the heart of
That's
the
scary,
liberal
to be honest.
madness incubus at the time of 2012 through 2016. It was where it was really, really becoming insidious, and they love that girl out there.
So whether or not this will actually, whether people are really experiencing this stuff, the viral videos, I think, are making their rounds. So some people may not have actually seen a violent protest or riot. I'm sure they've seen the videos of it, though.
I got a question maybe you guys can help me with.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if I'm suffering from ivory tower syndrome, because when I look at this stuff, I'm like, good, arrest those people, throw them in jail, don't let them out.
Yep.
Good. I want this to stop, arrest them all. And it's like, is that really the answer? Or am I just, I'm not suffering right now. So I have no desire to go out and throw my body into risk. And am I,
What suffering are these people undertaking?
Yeah, I was
well,
gonna
they're
say.
getting in front of rubber bullets. They're taking a risk with their,
Wait,
with their
like, so
safety.
you wait, like, if you go out to protest and you want to wave a little sign that says something like, I don't know, lower the cost of eggs, bread, and milk.
Yeah.
I realize at Occupy Wall Street, going out there is not the way to protest. You use the internet. If you want to protest, make internet videos. You will change hundreds of millions
Oh,
of
yeah.
people.
Yeah. Like we're doing right now. Hashtag Joe Must Show. Joe
Yes.
Biden, Donald Trump, Joe Rogan podcast. This is going to get so many.
Oh, man.
Whatever. I hope it happens. Anyway,
I sure do.
look, if you go out and
That
you wave
would
a
be an
little
amazing
sign
debate.
saying the cost of milk is too damn high,
Here's some
sign
barrel
on the table,
storage.
and then you're sitting there chanting, and then all of a sudden some dude lobs a Molotov, and you're like, that's crazy. I'm going to stay here with this man. Okay, well, then you're going to get hit with a rubber bullet, man.
Yeah.
Like, the cops aren't going to be like, which one was it? They're going to be like, the crowd's throwing explosives and incendiary devices.
I guess my question is there value to what they're doing? I've never
Antifa,
I've never read this book, by the
Yeah.
way. Is there value and I'm just missing it because I'm in like the ivory tower right now?
Well, it depends on your definition of value. Value in the sense of, like, regardless of the intent, is there a positive? Is there something that will help? It'll get Trump elected if that's what you want.
Maybe
but
it
to
is.
That's
fix
for sure.
like the economic, if there's a caste disorder, is this the way to do it, or are they missing the mark completely?
I think they're missing the mark completely.
Oh,
I think
same.
peaceful protest works. The scientific data shows that. And if they took all of their energy and just laid down in the street,
Worked.
that works.
Had a
It does.
job.
It's a nuisance. A lot of
Improved
people
their
get annoyed
life.
by it. They get really angry,
On some
but it does work.
project.
And then what happens is the cops come in, they pick people up, the people put their hands behind their back, comply, meet with every officer, and the officer says, yeah, I get it, don't worry, you'll be out in an hour or two. They get a slap on the wrist charge. The court
Yep.
says, congratulations, you got your mark of honor with the arrest, have a nice day. And then the news reports, Broadway and, whatever street was shut down because people blocked the intersection, and you get press attention for it. I think civil disobedience is the line. You are breaking the law, but we all kind of go, okay, we get it.
And it's to get the attention of the lawmakers so that they change the law.
So then the lawmakers, seeing there's popular action here, they see peaceful protest and they think this.
Of course, when men do it for their own purposes, then suddenly it's terrorism, like MGTOW or male supremacy.
Is good for me. So then they go on TV and said, all of those people, they came out here and they expressed themselves and they did it right, they did it peacefully. We got to stand up for that. So I am announcing a change. We will lower the cost of milk, bread, and eggs. Well, and everyone cheers. And it does work. And riots don't. Riots scare people and make them say, send in the troops.
Yep.
So if you want to talk about value, if your value is Donald Trump getting elected, you should be thanking.
A riot makes your effort, your work, your labor at improving your life completely negated by somebody's inability to do it for itself and choosing destruction over it.
Antifa every day saying thank you for going out and destroying things, because it just proves Trump was right the whole time.
I guess it's why is he getting elected? That's kind of almost as important. Maybe not more important, but
What do you mean?
Like, is he getting elected because people are afraid and they want a military, like what do you call it, like a military government, like martial law, or they want to elect him because they love his policies and they want to support him to make like global peace?
At this point, it's a little bit of both, because a little while ago the economy was really good and everyone loved him for that. And now the entire country is up in arms because, racial unrest and all this stuff that's been going on that's been so heavily emphasized by the media and our politicians. So now we have both peace when Trump is in power and chaos when it looks like the left is going to get power. So who do you think is going to end up with the power if the voters are watching this and they're like,
What kind of, I'm going to start with you, Lydia. What kind of person are you? If someone said to me, or I'm sorry, if someone said to you, if you vote for me, the violence will stop. But if you vote for Trump, the violence will continue. Make
I'd
the
say
right choice.
make me.
make the right choice?
Would
huh?
you vote for the person?
You're going to tell me what choice to make? I don't know.
I didn't say what the right choice was. I said make the right choice.
Yeah, I will make the right choice. Thank
So
you.
so same question. If someone said, if you vote for me, the violence stops, but if you vote for him, the violence will get worse.
Well, a couple things. Define violence, and how will you stop it? Are you going to level everything with a big explosion that makes it nice, calm, and peaceful and end the violence that way? Because I don't want that. Or are you going to allow
No. Joe Biden didn't say he was going to make the violence at all. This war game they put out from the Democrat war game and the Never Trumper war game said, unless Joe Biden landslides, there will be widespread violence.
Yeah, it's like a fear tactic. It's nonsense also.
Yes.
You can't decide that ahead of time.
Oh,
Here's
they
the best part.
can.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
Both Trump and Biden have said that.
Really?
Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
Interesting.
Donald Trump has put out in
Yep.
Joe Biden's America, don't let the Democrats take over.
Oh, yeah. I've seen
And
that.
Joe Biden and the Democrats have said it's currently Trump's America and there will be violence unless Joe Biden wins.
So what about Weinstein's
Unity?
Unity platform?
It's just a third-party platform, man.
It's too soon to the election, I think, for it to get real traction.
Yes.
But we need somebody that doesn't act like that, like Tulsi Gabbard.
Well, here's that's not it. That's not it. I hear what you're saying, but I actually think Trump is right.
How so?
When Trump comes out and says that, actually, I think they both might be right.
Yeah.
Well,
There's
no.
gonna be
Trump's.
there's gonna be violence, whoever gets elected, so they can both say that if their opponent gets elected, there's gonna be violence. It reminds me of this video clips from Futurama. I'm actually gonna stop my whole ass episode here. I mean, not gonna put a break in it, but I'm gonna go on YouTube and look for that clip of Futurama. Futurama USA candidates debate. Futurama candidate debates. Jack Johnson versus John Jackson. Let's look at that. Oh no, did I do what I think I did? No, I just minimized it. Amazing. Let's just reshape it so it's gonna fit in my recorder right here. Oops. Pause. Some volume.
Time someone had the courage to stand up and say, I'm against those things that everybody hates. Now, I respect my opponent. I think he's a good man. But quite frankly, I agree with everything he just said.
These are the candidates? They sound like clones. Wait a minute. They are clones.
Don't let their identical DNA fool you. They differ on some key issues.
I say your 3-cent titanium tax goes too far. And I say your 3-cent titanium tax doesn't go too far enough.
Exactly. Exactly like that. Point by point. Anywho.
Says that if Joe Biden gets elected, this is, you'll get more of this because he's weak on all these policies. And I think it's a fair point. Antifa is taking advantage of him. So perhaps Trump is wrong in the sense that you'll see widespread violence. What you'll see is successful militant far leftists because Joe Biden negotiates with them and gives them what they want. You get Biden in, he's going to turn around and say, do your thing. And they're going to be like, here are the things we want. They're going to say, I'll give you half of it. So he's negotiating right now. And he's off. He did like the Bernie Sanders pact or whatever, where it's not far left enough for the far left, but it's too far left for moderates. So if Joe Biden wins, the rioters probably will still be doing their thing, but he's going to give them what they want. So, yeah, you'll have violent lunatics going around, but they'll just get whatever they want. If Biden loses, the violent lunatics will start screeching because they're not going to get what they want, so they start smashing things. But I think either way, we're in for some.
Either way, you're still going to have violent lunatics out there in that mindset. And
that's why I think Trump is right.
So it's not. I don't think it's the figurehead that's the problem. It's definitely the class system.
You look at what's going on with Trump's plans already, deputizing Oregon State Police. I am the kind of person who says, listen, you have a choice. Joe Biden says, I'm going to give them what they want to placate them. Trump says, I will send in the police and I will have them arrested. Arrest them all.
No, I'm erring on the arrest side right
now.
No,
you're not gonna threaten me into voting for the other side. So when Trump comes out and he says in his ads, like, in Biden's America, this will happen, and the left is like, well, it's currently Trump's America and it's already happening. And I'm like, yes, emboldened by the far left and by Democrat politicians at local levels who won't enforce their laws, the DA specifically, Donald Trump has taken action to actually stop a lot of this. Some of it's worked, but I don't care. Even if Donald Trump isn't doing enough, you think Joe Biden would do more?
No, I don't.
Mic drop.
So
it would be Kamala Harris pulling the strings, and I don't like her military tactics.
If I have the choice between the guy threatening me, or I'm sorry, if I have a choice between Joe Biden saying I'm going to give in to a lot of the far left demands so that it all stops, and the other guy saying I'll make them shut up by sending in cops and arresting them, I'll say, go arrest them. You're not gonna. I'm not gonna negotiate with these people.
Yeah, that's a slippery slope to negotiate with terrorists.
Exactly.
And what do you think these people are doing to get what they want?
Yeah.
So that's the issue. In Joe Biden's America, I think Trump. Look, they're both to an extent being like, ooh, violence if you vote for the other guy. And you will have the can't distill this properly in a short for the other guy. And
Sorry about that.
I guess
I keep
you can't
clicking on the
distill
wrong
this
window.
properly in a short ad. In Joe Biden's America, you will have the morality police. You'll have the people knocking on your door saying, that rap music is cultural appropriation. I'm being a little hyperbolic. I'm exaggerating quite a bit, but we're getting to that point where the CDC already has 1,200 people,
Mugs.
wanting racism to be declared a national health crisis or whatever.
250.
Just like, yeah, we've seen like 40 cities declare racism a health crisis.
State of Colorado.
Colorado, the whole state did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to live in a place like that.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. What does that mean? What do you do to stop that?
I have no idea.
We've already made institutional racism illegal in 1964. It's like we did it, we stamped it, we're done. Now there's a lot of other issues that we can start fixing, remnants of historical racism and things like that. I'm all for that. I'm a bit of a lefty in that regard. What they're doing is not. They're creating more segregation. I mean, I'll tell you right now. So we see a lot of segregation happening. You saw the University of Michigan Dearborn thing.
Yeah, dude.
Where they were like non-POC only virtual event or something.
Freakish. And then they like rescinded on that.
Well, they apologized for their terminology.
But they're still doing.
I don't know. I think they're still doing it. They just said, we're sorry about the terminology. And
it's a non-POC place, but POCs can come. Like, that's just weird to call someone a person of color. Like, come on.
Listen,
put someone in a category like that.
You got California repealing their civil rights law. You got things like that. You got the town of Freedom in Georgia, where a bunch of black people are like, it's not necessarily a black only, but white people can apply. That's what you will get more of under Joe Biden.
Yep.
What people don't realize is that Trump only just we're coming on the end of his first term, and he just banned critical race theory. He's spoken out against these things, and his base is demanding he does more. And
Joe
he likely
Biden
will.
is elected,
And he's not a fascist. That's
he's gonna
ridiculous.
put bad race
I like it.
theory on the bill.
And I've seen, he made a comment on Fox and Friends about how he wanted to assassinate Assad, and that is horrifying.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Who said that?
Trump did
Oh my gosh.
in 2018, and Mattis stopped him, and I'm like, but I think Trump made a lot of mistakes. John Bolton,
He did.
foreign policy stuff.
Yeah.
However, we have
Sure
3
did.
historic peace agreements.
That's pretty cool.
Ah,
The thing is,
fair, too.
Biden is so bad. He's such a bad choice. He was a laughable mistake in 2008, just a goof of a ridiculous Why was he even up on that stage? And Obama, for some idiotic reason, put him as his VP. I still have no idea why he did that. He was the least horrible or the least likely to say yes to everything Obama wanted. He's just a yes man. That guy is a nut. He's a lame, sub-intellect, liar and cheat. He's a plagiarist, and now he's going into cognitive decline. And this is what Trump's up against. So yeah, he's the worst. Absolute.
So what's really interesting to me is when you talk about somebody's America, why don't you talk about the person who's been in a position of power for 47 years?
that's a good
Yeah.
point.
Instead of the person who's been in power for
Good
3.5
point, Lydia.
years. This has been Joe Biden's America. It was for 8 years, and he did
It's been
nothing.
for
and we're talking about-
47 years.
Yeah,
in
he's
Joe
been-
Biden's
Almost.
yeah,
America.
he's been in office, and
What-
and I know they both said this is going to be the world that we live in after this person's elected, but with Joe, it's like a promise that more will come. Whereas with Trump, he's like, look at what's happening right now. We're taking care of it. So I think it's different directionality from each of them. Like Joe's like promising more of the same, more or less.
I think this
trying to limit on Trump.
I think this cartoon right here sums up all that you need to see.
Yeah.
This is from George Alexopoulos. He's gprime85 on Instagram and Twitter. And this is just excellent, excellent artwork. It is the first panel, Joe Rogan. All right, gentlemen, we hydrated, caffeinated, ready to begin our 4-hour debate. The next panel is Trump looking up, smiling with rosy eyelashes, and there's bright colors bursting behind him. Then a worried-looking, sweating Joe Rogan who looks over, and Joe Biden is sleeping. And it's like a decrepit. This is amazing art, George. This is really great stuff.
I love
Yep.
the colors.
And just like, look at Biden.
Well done, G Prime
Dude,
85.
that sums it up. Okay, so this does reference what we've been screeching about the whole time, Joe Rogan getting this debate between the two of them. But there's more here than just the debate. It's this image of
Screeching,
Trump
eh?
and Biden is a caricature. It's an exaggeration. But it's an exaggeration. It's emphasizing these people way more. Trump, egotistical, chin up,
Smug looking.
smug looking
he's
face.
ready.
He does that. And he's like, And Joe Biden sleeping and snoring and looking awful. It's an exaggeration. I suppose, if it was more negative Trump, you could have made him look bloated with tiny hands or something. But I think it's an exaggeration of Trump as this arrogant,
wants to
smug.
be more famous, more money, and more.
Look, and the first one, you can see him smiling and looking over like, yeah.
Yeah.
And Joe Biden, it's amazing.
What?
I think, the left would look at it the other way. They'd see Joe Biden like,
Bored.
I don't
Oh, do I really have to do this?
and Donald Trump whining, the pounding on the table.
Yeah.
But that's a caricature based on media lies about Trump.
Yep,
The crazy thing about Trump is that the
indeed.
media makes his portrayal of him like a whiny baby. And I'm like, Trump can be that sometimes, but I really don't think
Definitely.
Trump cares about this stuff the way they act like he does. They're like, did you see how mad Trump got because his ratings were bad? I'm like, Trump probably didn't even think anything of that because he was watching Fox News. So it's like CNN comes out and they're like, the RNC's ratings were lower than the Democrats. Trump is mad, am I right? Woohoo! Half five. In reality, Trump's watching Fox News, and Fox is going, when you combine TV viewership with online, the RNC trounced the Democrats, and Trump's like, all right.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So they act like he's mad. He's probably not mad. So anyway, let's do this. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with voting. First, I'm going to start by pointing out you should all tweet hashtag Joe Must Show, Joe Biden must go on the Rogan podcast with Donald Trump. I wonder if we're causing trouble for Joe by constantly pushing it.
We are
so.
definitely helping.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Hashtag Joe Must Show. Also, don't forget to smash the like button. Get your super chats in if you would like. But so let's do this. What's going to happen? What's going to happen in November? Check out the story from Fox News. Democrats might not accept election results if Trump wins. Street battles could ensue. Atlantic writer. They're not even hiding it anymore. Trump 2020 Deputy Communications Director said. The Democrats, in my opinion, will not accept the results. The Republicans, in my opinion, will not accept the results. It doesn't matter whose side you're on. Both sides are not going to accept the results. Would you both agree?
Yes.
Because
Sorry.
both
Yeah,
sides
I
has
hope they
tried to
do.
cheat so much.
But it's with mail-in voting. You really, no one has to accept anything until all the mail-in votes are counted.
I would like you to read this headline for me, Ian.
Well, this says Pennsylvania mail ballots can't be discarded over signature. What does that mean?
Well, would you like to read the? Can you read the first
I
paragraph?
sure can. let me put on my glasses and then I can do it from here.
I'm like, you're not wearing your glasses, so.
Hello. Yeah, from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the AP reports, with concerns rising in Pennsylvania that tens of thousands of mail-in ballots will be discarded in the presidential election over technicalities, officials in the presidential battleground told counties they aren't allowed to reject a ballot solely because an election official believes a signature doesn't match the one in the voter's file.
Whoa.
So wrong signature doesn't matter.
Yep.
Who's going to accept the results of this election?
No one should.
There's going to be a ballot, and it's going to be from John Doe, and it's going to be like this beautiful cursive signature, and they're going to look at the file, and it's going to be, and the file is going to be like scriggly left-handed garbage, and they're going to be like, looks good to me.
You know, signatures are a weird form of security anyway.
I agree.
Because anyone could forge my signature.
They
So what do you do?
change.
Fingerprint?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Do you dip your finger in that weird ink and then onto the paper?
Maybe.
How do you do fingerprint analysis?
Right, and
anyway?
how do you acknowledge that it's your fingerprint from a distance?
DNA. Everyone has to take a
drop of
knife.
blood?
A drop of blood.
Oh, a full-
no.
a wash.
Slice the hand and just put your
Yeah,
bloody
something
handprint.
like that. I'm just kidding.
Sign
about
your
a
name
hair?
in your blood.
Barcode.
Rip out a
Gosh,
clump of hair and slap it on top and then spit on it.
Toenail clipping.
maybe
Ew.
fingerprint. Maybe fingerprint. Along with a signature.
Dude.
Oh, no.
Bro, what are you, some kind of Republican?
Hope not. But maybe.
Well, listen. The Democrats are saying get rid of voter ID. The Democrats are
That's a little-
saying get rid of voter signature verification.
What? How else do you verify it?
They don't want it.
That is weird.
You're sitting here talking about more security like some kind of Republican.
Oh my
Look at this
God.
hippie guy.
What have I
zoom in on
become?
him. This hippie-looking guy,
I can't
long
zoom
hair.
in, I'm
Abraham
sorry.
Lincoln was a Republican.
There you go.
He was.
He's correct.
Yeah, and they hated that
He
guy.
started that party.
I'd be
Yeah.
at that party. That
And
sounds
then
like
they
a good
killed
party.
him for it.
Well,
for the
John
Civil
Wilkes
War.
Booth did.
Yeah, he was famous. Do you know that?
Yeah, he was like a real famous actor.
That's crazy. Could you imagine if like
Madonna
Alec
bombed the
Baldwin.
White
Yes,
House.
I can.
Oh my
breaks
gosh.
into the Oval
I
Office
can
and
totally
he's
imagine
but he's
it.
dressed like Trump, like from that costume, and he's like, I got to put an end to this.
That's kind of like what that was, wasn't it? He was like a really famous actor.
He was a famous stage actor,
He's a celebrity.
and that's
Yeah.
how he had access, I guess.
Interesting.
So look at this. I got more stories, man. Mail ballots can't be discarded over signature. It's not just that they're saying it's good to go. They're saying that people need a chance to fix it. But come on, man. If like to quote Joe Biden, come on,
you did.
man.
You sounded just
I
like
was
him.
gonna say.
Come on, man. Well, look at it this way. Let's say you look at a signature, and there's like someone counting ballots, and they look at the signature from the ballot, and they look at the signature on file, and it is clearly not the same handwriting. They should be able to throw it in the trash.
But they don't have to.
Now they can't.
They
Oh,
cannot.
they
Ugh.
can't.
And so the
Elven
idea is you
migrants,
can
what
go
a
back
waste
to the
of
person
time.
and ask them to fix it. Okay, if somebody signs, and then you look at it, and it's kind of the same, but you can't tell. That makes sense to be like, okay, this looks different, but we're gonna send it back to the person to fix. That's gonna delay the election by what? Several weeks to months.
But like when I fill out forms, I was just filling out a form recently for like my license, and my signature, I just did it a little wrong. It didn't look like my normal signature, but they're going to accept it.
Right. So what happens when the signature is wildly different and now they can't reject it?
Well, that's screwed up.
Yeah.
Yes,
They just have to accept
sure
it.
is.
I guess they'll send it back to the
Oh.
person, and then
Okay, so it's going to be another 4 weeks before we.
we get Pelosi, interim President Pelosi.
Wow.
Mm.
'Cause someone will send it back. and it'll be the wrong
Tasty.
signature again, and then I'll
And then-
Pelosi, best balanced president ever.
What's she gonna do? Fire Trump's people, or what can
we
she do?
can't have Pelosi as president.
Oh my
Is
That-
that
god.
really
that's-
what would happen?
If the House election goes the way it's supposed to,
Maximum accelerationism. Straight up vote for Pelosi.
and the presidency gets jammed up, Yes, she becomes president on January 20th.
Well,
No.
maybe that's the president America needs right now.
what we
No,
deserve.
crazy
So we
Nancy.
can all see how crazy things are.
Nah.
I
But
hope.
No, but we can see how far we can push the thing. Mm.
but hold on. But wait, there's more. I don't just stop there.
No.
Actually, this is the wrong story, but it's interesting nonetheless. I never considered voting for Trump in 2016. I may be forced to vote for him this year. More than 20,000 mail ballots were tossed out in Pennsylvania's 2020
Speaking
primaries.
Of Pennsylvania.
I wonder why.
That's half of President Trump's margin of 40,000 votes in the state in 2016. Huh. What is this story? Democrats are more likely than Republicans to mail in ballots early, according to a poll. Just feels like they're prepping us for all of this insanity. They're telling us, well, the Democrats are going to send in more ballots. That way, that's why it makes sense that if Trump wins, he didn't really win.
We'll find boxes.
Yeah, we'll go look for boxes until we find enough votes.
Dude,
Fine.
we gotta
And if the
do-
signatures don't match, doesn't matter. They're good.
I mean, we need internet voting. This is the year that's going to show we have to have online secure voting.
But how do you secure online voting?
Well, like we were saying, blockchain's a little risky because they can do coordinated attacks.
Yeah,
so some
so-
sort of decentralized service that maybe it's not a blockchain, but like a DAT protocol or something.
Someone could easily break into that, dude.
Yep.
The problem with cybersecurity is that you got what about 7.2 billion people?
Yeah, something like that.
How many of these individuals? It's a distributed computer, and they're all trying to crack the code to break into our secure voting system.
I give it 2
Somebody's going to
minutes.
find it.
Yeah.
But this is also horribly insecure.
Yes.
So it's like the lesser of two evils.
Now, hold on. It's been bad for a lot of reasons, but we can secure it.
Yes.
You know, we need to secure our voting machines. They need to be checked better. because they're
Physical
easily
security
hacked.
makes a big difference.
And we
And
need
health
to,
bar.
I don't know, have voter signature verification and ID cards.
So right now you go to a
No
polling place, you put it into a
petition.
computer, and then that data is transmitted to a server somewhere.
No, I think it goes on a hard disk.
So
They,
it's
like,
still
pull out a hard
but
disk.
it's still data someone could tamper with.
Easily, very easily.
And
Yep.
so the way I see it is we're going from a 30% quality
Bro.
to a 38%
Bro.
quality or something.
If you do internet-based voting, one dude in Russia is going to be like, "Here we go," and Hillary Clinton's president. Done.
I would imagine if you had like a blockchain or something that you could follow the trail of changes. So if someone tried to tamper with it, you would see it.
They'd change the whole chain.
Man, you might be. I'm just not an expert, but I can't imagine there's
listen.
anything other than that would be better than this.
When you have physical ballots, there are challenges because this is why one of the reasons the Electoral College is so important that it's often overlooked. It's a really great argument, too, that people don't bring up. If all that matters is New York, L.A., and Chicago because of the popular vote, or California, then it's really easy for one person to forge a ton of votes in one area to make it seem like they all came from California because there's more people there. And that makes sense. With the Electoral College, they'd have to forge votes in every single state in different counties so that the state wins for their candidate. Get it?
Security advantage.
Yeah, so with the national popular vote, you need only rig one election. With electoral college vote, you need to rig 50 elections.
Oh,
It makes
cool.
it much, much more difficult to steal. Yeah, and
I like
people
that.
again, people don't talk about it.
Yeah, I never
it's
thought
one of the
about
most
it.
important
course.
reasons why we have the electoral college.
What if you had like an online local election thing where there was a bunch of local counts and then they were all like calibrated or collated in
the
a larger
speed at which
database?
you can alter and transmit data over the internet is rapid. It would be like the difference between getting a physical newspaper printed and sent to your house and pulling up the website. The moment the person writes the story, it's right there in front of you. With the paper, they write the story, then they print it on the page, and then they set it to this. They send the design to the system. They print out all the papers, put them on trucks, deliver them to various distributors or houses or whatever. Finally, get your paper. It took a day to do, and a lot of work, a lot of people involved. It's very difficult to get you a physical piece of paper. It's very easy for them to press enter and send you a story.
That feel good.
And they have security on their website. They do. And someone could easily hack their accounts, and they've done it. We recently saw high-profile Twitter users get hacked. And
Yep.
Twitter's got security. Imagine.
Nobody talks about that anymore, huh? What if like people were hacked and post some dumb shit on Twitter the day of the election? Or like, hey, I hope you voted. Or imagine if Joe Biden's account got hacked into, and then on that date, he tells voter to go vote again in that place because of voter security, and then a lot of people commit voter fraud because of a hacked Twitter account.
Imagine if they had to go to that person's house, all of these celebrities, and print out statements from them and give them out.
Well, first it would take 6 months, And that's a big problem because we don't have 6 months from November 4th to figure out who the president is.
Right? Maybe that's their goal. Their goal is kamikaze. Just if it can't be them, then no president at all.
Fire everything.
Yeah, more than that. Just no president. We should not gonna have one.
Anarchy.
Just gonna
Yes.
make it.
We
draw
just
it out as
promised
long
to
as
be
you can
all
until
chill
Nancy
for a
Pelosi
year or
gets into
so.
office.
Yeah,
Dare
it
you.
could be Chuck Grassley if she doesn't get reelected,
I don't know much
or
about him.
if the Republicans
Draw it out as long as they can until Nancy Pelosi gets into office.
be them, then no president at all.
Fire everything.
Yeah, more than that. Just no president. We should not gonna have one.
Anarchy.
Just gonna
Yes.
make it. Draw it out as long as they can until Nancy Pelosi gets into office.
Yeah,
Dare
it could
you.
be Chuck Grassley if she doesn't get reelected,
I don't know much
or
about him.
if the Republicans win the House. So a lot of people keep saying President Pelosi, but it's possible that the House flips Republican, and then you get a Republican speaker, and the
But it's an
Republican.
unelected official. I don't think anybody really wants. Most people probably don't want an unelected official to become
It would be an
president.
interim president emergency.
But they would stay as the president until
The resolution.
Yeah.
If it was a Republican, though, the Republican would probably clear it up and favor Trump, and Pelosi will probably favor Biden. I don't know what they can do as interim president, though, to actually affect what's going on with the election. Probably a lot. There's going to be tons of lawsuits. We're not going to know who won.
And in the meantime, there's like postal office employees throwing out bags of mail. Like, wasn't
That's
there
been
an article?
happening.
I know.
These are
Be right back in
contractors,
a
though.
moment.
So
Yeah.
we have contractors handling our mail.
Yes.
That's like our vote. Our
That's even worse.
private companies are handling our presidential votes.
I have
in
great
this.
confidence in this
I
system.
don't know how that works, but
All right, I'm back.
There's no chain of custody at the post office. Why am I
So
going to
you're
give them
about
my? I'm not going to give them my
leave
vote.
of
Are you
But
absence?
nuts?
so many people are. It's terrifying.
All the
dude.
Democrats are.
It's really weird.
It makes sense because the post office union endorsed Biden.
Oh, well, that's even worse.
Could you imagine? That's what I tell people. Like, imagine you're a Biden voter, and a guy shows up to your house with a MAGA hat on, saying, "I'll take your vote for you. Give me your vote. I'll take care of it for you." I'm gonna get out of here. I don't know. I'm not gonna give it. I'm gonna give you my
I'm
vote.
like begging the universe for online voting. It has to
Yeah,
happen.
but that's probably less secure, man.
It's too late.
I don't know if it's less secure.
It's
Equally
hard to
as insecure,
know.
but it's fast.
It's hard. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is fast, but
It is
it's
fast.
easily exploited by people in other countries.
But we can like get our driver's license online. Hey, Bucko, you can get some water at my house.
He can't get any water out of that thing.
See if you can.
Good luck.
So
You can do a lot of things online that are
But-
like high security stuff. I can get a credit card online. My personal information. Why not voting? It doesn't even seem like that big of a deal.
because it can be exploited very easily. All these other systems can be as well. China hacked a whole bunch of like social security numbers or something. So now they have like everyone's personal information. It's a big deal.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So look,
Good
man,
point.
I like the idea, but I just don't see it. Not right now, at least,
One step at a time.
because
I feel the
cyber
same way.
defense is very difficult. Cyber offense is extremely easy because you can't physically see where the holes are and where the water, the leak is coming from. So people find a way in, and you might not. They'll cover their tracks. You'll never know how to. You might not even know they breached the system. You might, like, even now. I bet I have very little faith in our elections. The only reason I'm willing to vote this time is because Trump winning in the first place proves that voting actually had an impact.
Yeah, it definitely
Because
has
they're
an impact.
freaking out. They're like, "Oh no, what happened?" So I'm like, "Okay, I guess voting matters." But now I think they're cheating. I mean, look at this stuff with mail-in voting, dude. It is beyond insane. Will Chamberlain has a great tweet. He said, "In-person voting is high integrity. Absentee voting is high integrity because you request the ballot and they know who's getting it. Universal mail-in voting is low integrity, and if you are trying to reduce the integrity of our elections, we can only assume it's because you intend to cheat."
Yeah, why would they? It's because of COVID.
Joe Biden just voted in person.
Okay, that's
Joe
great.
Biden voted in person. Birx and Fauci both said we could vote in person. There's no reason to
There's
have
no
universal
excuse.
mailin voting.
By the way, you were right. He couldn't get the water. It was
He
too-
tried, though.
It was
Oh,
too low. He was
no.
trying
He's
to knock
got
the cup over.
Bucko's been been doing catnip, so he's tripping.
Tripping a little bit.
He's on the
yeah.
journey
He's
right
like,
now.
"Oh man, I need water." My friends, we got to jump to this more important story though.
Oh.
So before we do, the hashtag is Joe Must Show, and make sure when you tweet it, you also include Joe Biden must join the Rogan Experience with Donald Trump for 4 hours of a moderated debate. It will be the greatest thing ever. You know what? I just feel like it's not going to happen because it would be too good to be true.
I feel
Well,
like we deserve it.
Yep.
Stuff like
We deserve it.
Yeah, I think
I
so.
do. After 2020, we deserve
I
it.
think so.
sometimes the too good stuff does happen.
And it is
Yeah.
2020. I rule nothing out.
I mean, what if at the very least we just got Trump on the Rogan Experience?
That's what we need.
That'd be awesome.
I'll take that, I guess.
Yeah.
But I really want them both because it would be an unprecedented level of authenticity from presidential candidates.
Yeah.
And then you'd have Joe being like, "What about this war stuff?" And then classified. I can't talk about it.
And like Joe, that's why I thought you were talking about Biden. You were talking about Rogan. When Biden and Mike Pence like elbow bumped,
That was
like,
cool.
That
Yeah, it
was
was
cool. If we
nice,
could
yeah.
see that level of humanity from Biden and Donald,
A lot of people took it to a negative place, saying. So for those not familiar, on 9/11, Biden met with Biden and Pence were both at this memorial, and they both smiled and they gave each other like a forearm bump, and they were happy, and I respect that. I really do. I wish we were more together, more unified. And it's sad that we're not as a country. A lot of people said, "See, this proves that they're friendly with each other," and
One-party system.
and then they try and exploit us for donations. And I'm like, no, it just shows that there's still a level of civility left, and I'm hoping it's not going to be torn apart.
I was afraid that showing Biden's humanity would give him a better chance of getting elected. But from my experience, allowing all parties to thrive lets the best candidate win.
Yep.
Well, I got bad news, my friends. The civility is coming undone.
Keep
This
going.
This is a horrifying and tragic story.
Oh, I'm terrified.
I bring you now to San Francisco, to the vile streets,
No.
where a YouTuber was detained for defecating in Nancy Pelosi's driveway during live stream. What has become of our great nation?
On live
People-
stream, what
Ew.
platform was he
How
steering
did they
to?
get away with this?
So apparently this guy's homeless,
Oh,
and he was making a
Okay.
point about Pelosi,
Oh.
and he said that was for President Trump, and I'm just like, The video Poopalosi was watched 19,000 times before it was removed from YouTube.
My goodness.
He called the incident a peaceful protest.
Yeah.
He
It
should have called
was?
it a biohazard. So I said F this guy on Twitter because I'm like, and you know, okay, maybe I should chill a little bit, but come on, man. You know,
Come on.
Come on, man.
come on, man.
Don't poop on people's stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's her driveway.
That's fair.
No, I just don't like the idea of protesters going to people's houses and making a thing of it because the left has been doing that, and you're just if we're gonna play this game where the left and the right are like, all right, we'll one up each other.
Dude, it's why the kings built castles in the first place, because the people would go to their house. So they
Yeah.
would need walls. It's just coming full circle.
You mean like small castles?
Well, first they would build a keep. Like
Yeah.
they build a wall, and then they build a bastion around their keep, which is like a wall around their walled house, so that you really
Got to
couldn't
keep the
get in.
peasants out, man.
I
You
know.
the peasants.
Disgruntled peasants will go to the leader's house.
And apparently poop on it.
So
All
that's
right, okay. Well,
maybe we got to
we
build
got-
castles in the sky.
we got to figure
Floating
out what's
islands.
going on at the core of this scandal.
Yeah, I want to know.
Poopgate, Pelosi Poopgate. I don't know. So they say the live stream shows a man known as Mando walk to the House Speaker's home, stand in the driveway, survey his surroundings, and then squatted and defecated in front of the home. They say Mando said that his comment about Trump was satire, and he supports the president's accomplishment, but fears America is becoming one big burned down city. In a subsequent video, Mando said he was detained by officers of the Bay Area Rapid Transit Police. It was scary, man. They asked me about Kamala Harris and how I joked on the stream that if she lived in San Francisco, I'd S on her house too. They weren't effing playing. It was scary. I
no.
thought my life was over in that moment, he told his viewers. They kept asking me, are you this? Are you that? Are you Antifa? And the Capitol Police were definitely watching my channel because I could hear them on radio like, tell him to turn off the stream. What is this cat doing?
He wants to play.
He's
Yeah.
tripping.
A BART police spokesperson told the New York Post that law enforcement officials do not have additional information to release on his detainment. I guess he didn't get arrested
Oh wow!
because it is legal.
it's legal to poop on someone's property.
But I guess it's because they decriminalized pooping in general in the streets.
Oh, this is San Francisco.
Yeah, and that's Pelosi's district, man.
Don't poop on my house if I move to San Francisco.
Seriously.
Don't
lived in
move.
San
Don't
Francisco.
don't move to
Don't
San
move there.
Francisco.
Yeah.
I lived there once, dude. I went to San Francisco. We went down to look at a house. I left my bag in the car. We went into the apartment. Came out, and our car window was shattered. My bag
Yep.
was stolen.
That sounds
Wow.
It was
right.
my welcome.
Sounds like SF, man.
Yeah, welcome.
So Mando apologized to Pelosi in a now deleted tweet, writing that he wasn't proud of his actions.
Yeah.
And he harbors no ill will toward the Democratic politician, saying, I know you may not ever see this, but I want you to know I meant no foul harm yesterday when I did what I did. I'm not proud of it at all, and I just would like for you to know that. I have no ill will against you or anyone in elected officials' position. I think he's just saying that because he got detained and got freaked out when they were like, why are you pooping?
He's like, I just had to go. I didn't mean.
I
to.
guess
No political
I guess he
point.
said he actually is homeless.
Okay.
And so what are you going to do?
it doesn't seem malicious. Would you consider this malicious?
No. Mischievous?
Definitely mischievous.
Yeah, that's a better way to put
Yeah,
it, I
think
guess.
so.
But yeah, it doesn't seem malicious.
Doesn't seem that
He didn't seem angry. I mean, I'm just reading context. you
I
know.
mean, I think the internet creates these things, and we got to be careful about it because the only reason he did it is because he knew he could film it and send it
yeah.
out.
Now he's gonna get.
And now everyone's
100,000
talking.
viewers at GoFundMe.
Right. GoFundMe.
Yeah. Fund
Help,
the poop artist.
help me travel across the country to
Pooping on
poop.
things.
Tell me where to poop next.
Well, we got another story in the Pelosi saga.
Well, if you're in a high
I can't
school,
believe this
that's
one.
your
This
daily
one
life.
is hilarious. CNBC's Jim Cramer calls Pelosi crazy Nancy to her face, then blames Donald Trump. The dude Freudian slipped.
I think he did it on purpose.
You think he did it on purpose? I don't
Yeah.
think so.
That's what I read. when
So
we listened to it.
he's talking to her, and he's like, "How are we gonna get?" Okay, here do they have the quote? They don't have the actual quote. They just says, "Sorry, that was the president." Where's the actual quote? Come on. Nah, that's stupid. You need the actual quote to understand the context. They say CNBC's Jim Cramer called House Speaker Nancy Pelosi crazy Nancy to her face Tuesday morning, utilizing the nickname President Trump has given her. Sorry, that was the president, Cramer immediately said after the slip. I have such reverence for the office, I would never use that term. Pelosi laughed and said, but you just did, and then called Trump the master of projection. So then Jim Cramer went on like a tweet spree. It disgusts me that she is called Crazy Nancy. She has spent her whole life in public service. My critics didn't listen to why I mentioned it because it is horrifying. Nah, he slipped up.
Does he like Donald Trump? I can't tell.
I don't know. I mean, he did say before COVID the best numbers of our lives in terms of the economy.
So he's kind of nonpartisan.
Maybe. I don't know. No, he's calling
Maybe
what Trump
just
says
recognize a
horrifying.
good
He says, did
opportunity.
anyone bother to listen to the whole interview? It was about how horrendous it is that the president calls Speaker Pelosi Crazy Nancy. It is so unfortunate and ill-advised. The people criticizing me must not have realized the point. Never should she be called that. Nah, he slipped up.
He
He
slipped
definitely
up.
I
slipped
thought
up.
he did it, and then he was like, "Oh, that was Donald Trump." So you know what I mean? You know,
Well, we
I
can-
would never. Oh, cool.
We can play it.
You know the
I can
stuff.
try to make it play. So let's see.
No, you know the
Let's see if we can make
thing.
this play. And we can actually-
Between you and I think Secretary Mnuchin, I mean, what deal can we have, Crazy Nancy? I'm sorry, that was the president. I have such reverence for the office. I would never use that term, but it is
But you
hard,
just did.
isn't it? Oh, come on.
But you just did.
You know what I mean.
he slipped up. He's slipped up.
I'm gonna disagree with you there.
You think
Roll
he did it on
initiative.
Some
you think he did it
migrants
on-
has arrived.
You think he did it on purpose?
Yeah.
Why?
Just
Sweet.
making a point about how gross it is.
Oh, you
He made himself look like a bad guy to show like that's a bad thing to do.
I thought you meant he was intentionally
Yeah,
calling it
sounds-
crazy.
No, I think he was making a point. About
What?
how-
What do you think?
I don't really know. It's hard to tell because
Sorry, I
that
have
doesn't
to
seem
show
like
you
something
that.
would just slip
I
out,
just
honestly.
had
Does it?
the worst migrant crisis of my career. You see those red lines? Those are children. They eat your food and they don't do nothing for you. Nothing. I have all those freeloaders to feed now. Oh my. But on the other side, if those people grow in my fortress and grow to become responsible adults here, they'll be great people. That's for sure. Okay, so you're peasants. So I'm gonna keep you on cleaning duty. You're a cook. Yeah, sure, we need that. You make weapon. Yeah, sure, we need that. You are a lie maker? Nah, you're gonna do all of those things just in case. Commit. Alright, you are a wood burner. Why not? Furnace operator as well. I'm gonna give you the letter and bone. Where's bone carving? Oh, just there. Commit. Who are you? Herbalist. Herbalist, farmer. Commit. You are an animal trainer, and then you'll be also an animal carer, and just in case, a stone detailer. Commit. You wood burning, potash making, lye making, milling, pressing. Another all around. Commit. You are a farmer, so you'll also be a plant gatherer, and you won't have to guild. Commit. You are a woodcutter, so you'll do everything in the wood department. You won't be fishing. You can be butchering if you feel like it. Next, gilding, milling. Okay, you're gonna be the clothier. Good enough. You are a cheese maker. All right, you're at least gonna be, how do you call it? Animal care? If you're cheese making, oh, milking. There you go. And also gonna make you gather plant and manage the farms. Commit. You are a animal caretaker. We need some of those. So I'm gonna let you do your tank. You're a plant processor, so you're gonna become a miner. A thresher? Plant processing is probably called a threshing. Sometime happens. You have all I want except this. Yeah, you already have school and cooking. Might as well have it. Now, you are a peasant. Then you'll become a miner. Oh, wait. I already have 2 miners that came in. Great. No, you're a hunter. I'm gonna let you hunt. You're a ranger. You're gonna do most of that farming and gathering. You are another animal caretaker. Great. Alright, you're gonna go do some masonry as well. And that is it. I had 47 migrant this year, and I'm betting at least 10 of them are children. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 12, 20. What did I say? 12, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Almost 24 children. This is going to be a nightmare. A freaking nightmare, I tell you. Alright, so this place is going to start to become a another dormitory all the way up here. Then I'm going to make some long bedroom lanes. Then from here to here, I'm going to make it like this. Alright, then I'm going to split them up that way. Oops, X to remove designation. All right, we can listen to Tim while I keep on doing this.
Really? You think so?
It sounds to me like he slipped up. Like behind the scenes, he's like, crazy Nancy. She's always doing this. And then when he's talking to her, he's like, how can we come to a deal? You know, crazy Nancy. And then, whoa. I didn't mean it. Like you saw, he immediately was like, I didn't mean it. I didn't, that's the president.
So what you're saying is that this is basically just like locker room talk that kind of worked its way out into the conversation.
Yeah.
So I think that everyone's entitled to a little bit of locker room talk. You should be able to say whatever you want to say around just your friends or, whoever hangs out with you at home.
I just think crazy Nancy is incorrect.
Why so?
Like she's not crazy?
She's not crazy.
She knows
She's
exactly
crooked.
what
She's
doing.
not crazy.
No,
Yeah.
she's crooked.
Yeah.
Disconnected. She's too wealthy.
Do you see that video where she's like showing the ice cream off and she's like, I got all this expensive ice cream, yeah, and she's laughing.
I got to get my hair done.
And everyone's
no, I
like
seen that.
unemployed. Oh yeah, the mask thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I have some art for you.
Oh yeah, we got more art.
I got art for you.
We're such
This
art
is a better
connoisseurs.
example of what Nancy Pelosi is.
Oh,
Once again,
my.
from George Alexopoulos. For those that are just listening, I will describe it to you. The first panel is Nancy yelling, and she's sparkling. It was a setup. I was wearing my mask. Then the next panel, it gets dark, and she has the same mask. And then the next panel is her looking down and grabbing her face, and then she rips her face off. I'm wearing now. And her face is the alien from the movie They Live.
Yeah. Rowdy Piper.
Rowdy Piper. He says, I'm here to kick ass and chew bubble gum. And I'm all out of bubble gum.
That's where that line
It's the
comes
longest
Yes.
fight scene from any
Oh my
movie.
God.
Is it really?
I don't know. It goes on for like 20 minutes, though. of them
Okay.
just punching each other in the face.
They Live is about Rowdy Piper. Well, he was like WWF, right?
Yeah,
Back in the
big
day.
time. He was one of the hottest WWF wrestlers against Hulk Hogan in the 80s.
That's awesome.
So he finds these sunglasses, and when he puts them on, he can see through the illusion. It's a cool movie. And there's all these people around who look like this art depiction of Nancy Pelosi's face. They're like, they have no lips, and their teeth are showing they're aliens or whatever.
Yeah.
And when he takes them off, they go back to normal. And then when he puts them back on, he looks like a billboard, and it says, obey. He takes them off, and it's like, enjoy sweet, sweet cola. And he's like, whoa. And then he looks at money, and the money says, this is your God.
It was prolific for its
Dude,
time.
it's amazing.
It got a lot of traction in about 2012 when the truther movement really struck the internet, and they love that movie.
They live.
Interesting.
So anyway, this art is it's based on Nancy Pelosi, where she went to the hair salon, and she wasn't wearing a mask, and she was getting her hair done in the salon, and then she blamed the salon, saying, I was set up. I was wearing my mask, and then she
so
rips her face
clever.
off. Yeah, it's brilliant.
I love it.
It's like,
So
yeah, she's disconnected, man. That's my take on it. She's just doesn't
Yeah,
know what
like
you
her
got to
face
take the
here.
hit. You got to not go out and do that stuff. if you're a politician.
show more of his art.
Look at this.
That is I'll
Yeah,
we'll
there's
zoom in.
Nancy right there. Oh.
So this is
looking
from
good.
this is a book we got sent from George, and it's really, really amazing stuff. He's gprime85 on Twitter, and the cover is just Nancy Pelosi shredding the Trump's speech.
Yeah, the State of the
look at her
Union.
face. Oh my, it's amazing art.
so neat.
Just so
The
good. I
lighting
don't
is
know
so
what that
good.
is. Just people.
Victim comics.
Oh, it's a Trump supporter on the back.
cool.
Oh, one of my
So,
mecenas
anyway,
redrawn from Society.
When she ripped up the speech,
Happens
when
when
she's
people
eating
get
ice
old,
cream,
you retire.
Ivory Tower Nancy. But
Or
it's not
they go live
alliterative,
into
you know?
some other
Crazy Nancy
more
isn't
secret
either. How do you
town.
do? What's an N word?
Yeah, negative's too long.
Negligent? No.
So too long. Yeah, it's a long word.
The idea is that she's disconnected is good, but doesn't get to the core of what she is, in my opinion.
Princess Pelosi.
Princess Pelosi.
That's what I
That's
came
pretty
up with.
good.
Yeah.
I think that's
Oh.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's got her ice cream. She's got her hairdo.
And let them eat cake.
Yeah.
It makes her sound young, which she wants. So maybe it's
Yeah.
not the right.
Then the
Old lady Pelosi. No,
the
that's
wicked
Yeah, see?
Nancy of the West.
Yeah,
I like
that too.
Princess.
I like the wicked Nancy of the West.
Because
over
she
there
is
on the
she
West
is in
Coast.
over on the West Coast. So
I think Princess Pelosi's pretty good.
I like that.
Princess Pelosi.
Yeah.
I mean, but princess is usually like a positive connotation.
No,
Right.
it's
Like
very
a young, beautiful.
so well among girls. It's very negative. If you're a princess, you're high maintenance. You know, you get your hair done all the time. You got the long nails. You got you got the Uggs.
Yeah, and I don't think she's not like that really, but the fact that she went and had to get her hair done in the middle of this when other
Very
people aren't
high
supposed to,
maintenance. Yeah.
it's really like she doesn't have control or something.
But they've all it's not just her.
Lori Lightfoot did it.
And didn't Gretchen Whitmer do it?
I'm sure she did.
It's been a whole bunch of different politicians that I have to get my hair done.
I'm in the public eye.
And it's not dudes, is it?
No, I don't think so.
Because the guys wake up with their hair all greasy and they're like, just
Cool.
splash it with water and comb it to the side and I'm good to go. Or they put on a beanie because they don't have hair.
Works too.
But these female politicians, we've seen several of them say, I have to be the public face, so I'm going to go to the salon, even though no one is allowed to.
Yeah, like Chris Cuomo's the male version, going out, telling people he's not going out, but going out.
Yes, exactly.
Well, he's not a politician, though.
No, he's not.
His brother is.
Did you see Tucker Carlson at Central Park fishing?
Super old video.
That guy walked up to him.
Joey Boots, man.
He held it together.
That was so
Tucker?
fun.
Yeah, Tucker was.
No, Tucker's a cool dude.
Yeah, I like him.
That's sad. Joey was a cool dude. He died a little while ago,
Oh.
and I knew him. And he's the famous guy who I don't know if he's the guy who made up the Baba Booey thing, but he would run up to news cameras and yell Baba Booey, Baba Booey,
Awesome.
Howard Stern's penis, Baba
Yeah.
Booey, Baba Booey. And so he would walk around New York filming people, and he didn't realize he was talking to Tucker. I guess back then, that's a really, really old video.
Oh.
I don't think Tucker was that famous back then.
Okay.
Like he was, he was.
I thought it was
'cause,
COVID
he was,
stuff.
He was
so
the bow
that's
tie
cool.
guy.
I was like, he
No,
doesn't have his
no.
mask on. He's at the
That was
Central Park.
so long ago,
There we
dude.
go.
So long ago. But
Good
yeah,
to
if you
know.
didn't see it, this video surfaced of Joey Boots. He was a friend of the Howard Stern show, and he like sees Tucker Carlson fishing in Central Park, and he's like, "What are you doing?" Tucker's like, "Fishing," and he's like, "You can fish here?" And he's like, "Yeah." And Tucker's just like, "You're filming me?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Why?" He's like, "'Cause I'm allowed to." And he goes, "I'm not questioning your right to do it. I'm just wondering why you are." And then after a couple seconds, Tucker just explains to him fly fishing. He's like, "Let me show you," and he like shows his
That's so
baits
neat.
and
I
everything.
thought that was
and-
really nice.
yeah, and it was like a regular conversation.
Yeah,
and
that
it's
was
kind
cool.
of it's cool. It's cool, and it's kind of sad because Joey was a cool dude. He's kind of a troublemaker.
The character.
Yeah,
Okay.
his character.
So that's not the male version of Nancy Pelosi. Has nothing to do with
No way.
Nothing
what's going
yeah,
on
he's
right
the
now.
polar opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
Just how are people obsessed with their own personal well-being in a time where they're asking everyone to take a sacrifice? And
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe it's. I don't want to blame it on females, but looking good for the camera is,
the
women
men aren't
getting
doing
their
it.
hair
Very
done and
vain.
their makeup done is
Yeah.
like I don't really like that stuff anyway, personally.
Unless I'm missing something, I'm not seeing guys do it.
Get the
And it's
nails
probably
done.
because the guys wake up and they wash their hair and they comb it and they walk out. But women like it's why hair services for men can be cheaper depending. I mean, you have long flowing locks, Ian. So your hair service.
Thank you for noticing.
You probably have expensive hair treatment for for your hair.
I use baby shampoo.
Do you
That
really?
works.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's
I just mean, like,
anti-dandruff.
If you went to a salon that you have a lot of hair to work with, they're going to charge you a lot more. So
Yeah.
guys tend to have short hair. They're kind of like whatever, just
Yeah,
Yeah.
salons as a business are kind of, a interesting phenomenon.
So the reason that it costs more, this is actually for the exact same reason that women.
pink tax. That's it.
No, okay,
Feminism, patriarchy.
Yes, it's the pink tax. That's all there is to it. No, women's hair is layered. It's longer. Women are more picky. It takes longer for them to do it. And the same thing goes with women's clothes. When you dry clean it, there's a lot more tucks and pleats, and it's more tailored and it's more fitted, and it requires a lot more like actual
Would it-
structured.
Would it be cruel and unusual punishment if we said that any politician who violates the COVID lockdown to get their hair cut had to get their heads shaved?
Ooh.
And then like Lori Lightfoot, Gretchen Whitmer, and Pelosi all got their heads shaved?
I think the answer is yes.
That does seem
Unfortunately.
kind of unusual, if nothing else.
Cruel. But there have been instances of unusual punishment.
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing stories where like a judge sentenced some dude to like hold a sign by the freeway.
Who? What happened?
I don't know. It was something like he had to hold a sign saying like he was a shoplifter or something.
Oh.
And the guy was
remember
like,
that.
he's like, it's like either that or you go to jail. And he's like, I'll take the sign. And so it's kind of unusual, but wouldn't like I don't know what the exact story was, but wouldn't you rather hold a sign by a freeway than go to jail?
Oh,
Yeah.
because it wasn't cruel. So it has to be cruel and unusual, not
Oh,
cruel
is
or
it?
unusual.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think for
okay.
women, that shaving your head like that would be cruel and unusual.
Because it's gotta take a long time
yeah.
to grow back.
Yeah, well, they really care about it. So.
What if you had to dress up like a clown? Like
Now we're
oh,
talking.
you want to look good for the camera? Well,
Well,
now
here
you
you go.
have mandatory clown duty, and you have to dress up like a clown.
see
for
that.
the rest of
Mandatory clown duty.
Yeah.
You're a clown.
Just like Woody from Toy
Great.
Story, Darth Vader, a clown, and then I'd make balloon animals for kids at their
Oh,
birthdays.
how funny!
It
I
was fun.
like that.
Paid
Wow.
good, $12 an
Interesting.
hour when I was like
Nice.
17.
Perfect.
Wow, where? Like Disneyland?
No, Ohio, Cuyahoga Falls, Akron. I just go around. I stand on the side of the road with a sign and dance in a
That's
reindeer
awesome.
costume.
How did I not know this?
We're having a good time. How
Something
about
new every day.
we close
Great.
out this
Structured conversation.
how about we close out with a segment that's actually I think there's an update on this.
Yeah, there is.
Oh.
So do you have the update?
I sent it to you earlier.
But the update is the school has relented, right?
Yes.
So we'll just talk
Indeed.
about this. Did you hear this story? You did. You give him the thumbs up.
Yeah, I had water in my mouth. I read this. I just kind of glanced at it, watched the video of them running out, and saw the headline.
So these kids, high school football players, on 9/11, they wanted to wave the thin blue line and the thin red line flags that honors police and firefighters,
Good for them.
specifically those on 9/11 who lost their lives. And the school said no, and they said if you do this, you'll be suspended. And the kids said okay, did it anyway, and that's amazing. That's amazing.
So nice to see my
That's not-
dwarf
that's not
building
super
the wall.
political, but it's a protest, and it's the right kind of protest. But what is going on, man? That's all I gotta say. You know, we talk about all this stuff. We kind of joke about people pooping on driveways, and we talk about, you know, Antifa and all this stuff. But how do we get to the point where 9/12/2001, this country, everybody, like we're selling out of American flags because everybody's waving them and saying like, you know, we're unified. George W. Bush's approval rating was like high 80%. And now it's, you know, 9/12/2020, and they're suspending kids for waving flags honoring those who sacrificed their lives on 9/11.
It's like we as a species have experienced an amazing evolution of the last 20 years. Maybe it's internet video. I don't know exactly. But in 2001, I was all on with George Bush. I was like, yeah, let's go get him.
Are you
I didn't-
serious?
Yeah, I didn't know
Wow, I
that
wasn't.
it was a false flag, or maybe that it was a false, you know, I didn't know that it looked like somebody was trying to get us to go to, I didn't know Halliburton was going to make billions of dollars off of it, you know,
Yeah.
the vice president.
Right? We didn't know any of that.
I didn't know any of that. And then
Yeah.
it was the internet and all the reading, all the stuff that ABC News wouldn't have showed you in the 90s that
You mean
I
you
felt
mean
violated.
you mean the media was lying?
Yeah, it seemed like I realized how media was lying, and I had to become the media. Like, I never would have thought that I would have had to become the media in the 90s because they were doing such a good job.
When all this stuff went down,
Yeah.
and the news was telling us there's weapons
Exactly,
of mass
Ian.
destruction,
I
we
agree.
must go and we must, you know, start this war. I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. I was just a teenager though, but I was also like a rebellious rapscallion who was like whatever the authority said must have, like I would be like, you're wrong because I'm smarter than you and I'm 15.
The Iraq thing I was more on edge about because they said before Iraq, once someone slipped one time and said, when we go into Iraq, and it was before we'd ever gone to, and my dad told me on the phone, I was like 2003. Yeah, they're talking about going into Iraq all of a sudden. And I was like, what?
Yep. And they were talking about Iran for a long time, and then Trump hires Bolton, and Bolton said something like, this time next year we'll be celebrating in Tehran. And I'm like, what?
There's a thing where we're talking about 7 countries in 7 years. It's like a military.
Yeah. And we've actually gone to war with a lot of them. I don't know if that's real, though. You know,
I don't
someone,
know.
look, when it comes to predictions, I could sit here and be like, at some point, we will go to war in Korea. And then people and then 10 years, they're gonna be like, he was right. And like, you know, whatever.
Right.
So people said these countries we're going to go to war with. And like, we've gone to war with like 4 of them.
Yeah, it was
It's
like Cuba, North Korea. It's countries that aren't on the OPEC.
Well, no, those
dollar.
countries haven't gone to war with yet.
Right, but they were on the list.
But other countries like Syria and
Libya.
and stuff like that, we didn't necessarily go to war with them. We kind of did in Libya,
Iran, Iraq, and
the,
Afghanistan.
the airstrikes and stuff. But the main issue I bring this up is just like, it's crazy to me that we're at this point where it is more publicly acceptable to say cops are evil and cops are bad than it is to honor those who died on 9/11.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. Well, look, you think they could have they could run out waving a Black Lives Matter flag?
I think I would not even have noticed that they had a weird flag if they hadn't made a story about it. It just looked like 3 cool flags. Like,
American flags.
Yeah, 3 American flags. One was deep blue, one was regular.
They'll paint Black Lives Matter in the streets, but Blue Lives Matter isn't allowed.
They'll tell you it's not political.
We got to start waving those flags next to each other.
No,
Interesting.
no, I disagree. I think the Black Lives Matter organization is extremist. They want to defund the police and they want to disrupt the nuclear family. And I'm not even a conservative. I'm a lefty, urban, liberal type dude, and I understand the importance of family. And they want to disrupt that. Why? It's like scientifically proven that family structure is good for kids. Like
maybe they took the black pill.
They just want to burn everything down.
That's what is it? The nihilist pill.
Yeah, like everything's bad.
Yep.
Giving up and they're bored.
Everything's
and they have
done.
Power now because they're in their early 20s and they can finally.
You saw that video earlier of the cops who got ambushed.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, dude.
That's rough. Did that just happen?
I think it just happened.
I think that was just from a couple days ago.
The Tulsa shooting. So
Yeah.
for those that didn't see it, 2 cops got shot in Tulsa. One of them died, and it is one of the most horrifying body camera footage releases I've ever seen. Because these cops did everything right. They pulled the guy over who was breaking the law. They told him to get out of the vehicle. He wouldn't do it. They used taser and pepper spray.
They told him 40 times.
40 times, get out of the vehicle.
Very clear.
They didn't want to hurt him, and they didn't want to kill him. They didn't want it to become another riot scandal.
And then while he was crying and saying, "You're hurting me, you're hurting," he was actually reaching under his seat to grab his gun. And then he did. And the gun is probably why he didn't want to get out of the car.
He needed to get to his gun.
No, he knew that getting pulled over meant they'd find the illegal gun.
Oh, okay.
And he was done. So he decided he didn't want, for those that have seen the video, look, this dude was not trying to just shoot cops to escape. He waited. He took his time to try and execute one of the cops.
Yeah, it was
he
very...
stopped and aimed. He could have, and then he fled.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna ask something, but I don't remember. But he pointed at the cop, took his time.
He
planned
aimed,
it all out.
gripped with both hands, aimed at the head, and put a bullet in the cop's head. That cop survived. So I bring that up at the same point with this. So apparently the school has relented, and I don't know exactly what happened, but they were
that's
like,
great.
Yeah. But I'm just bringing it up as like the final quick segment is just how do we get to this point, man, where we're in this country where everybody's got cops. Everybody. Even if you live in the middle of nowhere, you got a sheriff or something you've probably talked to, and maybe you don't really see them. They're state patrol, but cops are everywhere. You talk to them, you might have a negative interaction because they give you a ticket. It's like, yeah, you were speeding. Otherwise, what's cop going to pull you over for? I've had cops help. Get locked out of your car or something. You pulled over on the highway, and they're like, "What's going on? Anything I can help you with?"
Dude,
and you're
honestly,
like, "Definitely."
When I'm speeding and I get pulled over, I'll thank the cop because it's dangerous to speed. And if I'm doing that, I really shouldn't be.
I mean, I wouldn't thank the cop.
I do.
I'd be like, "Oh, you got me."
Every time I'm like, "Thank you."
I wouldn't say anything. I'd be like, I've never actually gotten a ticket for speeding. I've sped before. The one time I was really speeding like crazy, I was in the middle of nowhere, like far west Illinois, just like total back roads. And so there was nothing. So I was like, screw it. And I slammed the gas and I was going like 80. And that was like, what is that? Like, it was like, I was going like 30 miles over the limit. And then I see a cop way up in the distance and I'm like, okay, I'll slow down. When I pass him, he pulls out and starts following me. And I'm like, oh no, oh geez. And then he pulls me over and he was like, you were speeding. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, hold on. And then he came back. He gave me a warning. He's like, slow down, kid. And I was like, I'm not speeding anymore. Yeah. And that was all it took. I guess he ran my plate. So I was like, I had no tickets or anything or whatever. And he was just like, here's your warning. Slow down. And I was like, yeah.
Because you can kill other people when you're speeding. That's dangerous.
Totally.
That's true.
So it's like you can have a negative interaction with cops, but don't we still have to recognize, well, you know what? I'm just going to say it. Defund the police is only possible because they've successfully demoralized us as a society.
This is the long,
We're at the
tedious
point now
part
where
of
people
Dwarf's
are like, I guess it's okay to say the police are bad.
Well, how spoiled are we to live in a world so peaceful and organized that we feel like we can say, screw the police.
Yeah.
We don't need that. Are you serious?
And then you have poor people in like minority communities that are like,
Screw
we need more
pure
police.
water and
Please.
drinkable
Yeah, the crime is
water.
out of
We don't
control.
need that.
It's these like it's interesting. What is this, like a high school? So it's these like progressive white social justice areas.
Yeah, so the headline doesn't encapsulate this very well, but they were put back on active status, and that's what they say in this.
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
Students are back.
But are they going to let them wave the flags?
I believe so. It says the local schools. Little Miami local schools is saddened to see this story take such a negative turn. The district enjoys an outstanding relationship with their local police and fire agents.
It's not about local police. It's about 9/11, dude.
I know. Well,
Dude.
yeah, he went on to reference an event that they had later in the day to honor the anniversary of 9/11. So this is something they took seriously. My understanding, too, is that they didn't have permission to fly the flags. And
Right, so
why
they were
didn't
getting
give them permission, I don't know.
And they were getting busted because they didn't have permission,
Right,
not because
I
of the
guess.
flags they were flying.
I guess, but they should have given them permission to fly those flags, right? Because it was 9/11. It was important to them.
I'll tell you what, man. Take a look at this story. It's from February. 9/11 memorial vandalized in Plymouth less than a week after town's other landmarks were defaced.
This is so depressing.
Dude, it's a 9/11 memorial and they knocked it over. Do you know what this is? This is crazy. It's a fire. Wow, dude. I was saying this earlier. You wanna have an argument about the police use of force, police brutality? Absolutely. And we can talk about police reform and the appropriate changes. You want to talk about the firefighters and cops on 9/11 who saw explosion in the sky and debris raining down and people screaming, and as everyone ran to safety, they ran into the buildings and ended up getting crushed, sacrificing themselves to try and save people. And many people got pulled out by these cops and firefighters, made it to safety, and those people lost their lives. And so we build little statues for them because we always want to remember that this is the true the moment humanity does the best. And then some lunatic desecrates it, knocking it over. So I read that they did repair. There's an old story. But just like seeing these kids running out with these flags, and I'm like, I want to stand and salute these kids and be like, yes, that's what humanity's all about. The people on 9/11 saw the explosion, saw the fire and debris, and they could have ran away. And they got in their cars, they jumped on those fire trucks, and they said, we got to get there as fast as possible. They need us. And then they died. And many of these people who went down there and were helping after the fact, and even there on the day, suffered the horrifying lung diseases from breathing all this stuff in for decades to come.
I worked there at Ground Zero, and we had to get those breathalyzer tests. I started in October, and by November, we were getting, breathing things. You had to certify that you weren't sick before you got there.
To see if you had the illness or whatever.
To test if it.
Could you imagine?
Gave it to you.
Not some people lost their lives, but others they put themselves in a position to suffer for decades to save people, the people who got this lung. And that's why it was so impressive to see Jon Stewart fighting so hard.
Yeah, I just saw him talking about that today. I think it was.
Yeah, is there good news or is there bad news on it?
I think he was just out talking about it.
Because he praised Trump before, and he said that Trump was the only one who was helping these guys. And it sickens me how the media just it has to be bad about Trump. It can never be good. And Jon Stewart, good dude. I don't know where we're at right now, so I don't know where the funding's at, but this story, man, makes me really angry, especially when you see these body camera video stuff get released.
You see how I think it was in Portland. They didn't have enough Chinook helicopters to put out the fires because they're over in Afghanistan.
Is that true though?
Oh, well, maybe it was a fake article, but I think some of the things that we could have used to protect our own country were overseas, i.e.,
That's true. Period. The people, if we spend a lot of money here in the U.S. build things and send them overseas, but we do a bunch of nation building in these other countries. That's why I'm like, yo, man, we got Flint. We got to fix them pipes.
Yeah, that's what our military could be used for, is building infrastructure.
Yeah, you're right, Ian. And
you sound like a Trump-supporting Republican.
Yeah.
I do love
You
Trump
sound
as a human.
But as a president,
Let it be known.
you sound.
I think I would give him a 68 out of 100.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's all right.
What about Biden?
17 out of 100.
He's just
that's
immediately
generous.
17.
Yeah.
I thought about it earlier.
17.
Neither of them are my top humans. Elon Musk, 90, 98 maybe even. He's one of my
He's
top
a little weird
choices.
sometimes.
Yeah, I agree,
Yeah.
Ian.
He likes memes.
Who gets 100?
Elon Musk first, Tim Pool second.
I don't think there are any. But
No?
you got to pick one?
I don't know.
Who's the 100?
What about Joe Rogan?
I'd love
He's
to see
pretty
Joe in
cool.
office.
What-
he
what-
doesn't
what-
want that job.
No, I mean Musk isn't in office.
No, I know.
But Musk does weird things where he tweets and then stock crashes.
Yeah.
What about Joe? Joe doesn't do anything.
He's not an American either, so he can't be president.
He's
But
a
it's not
force of
about
chaos.
president.
Joe would be
though.
a great president.
I don't know about that.
I
think-
think he'd be great because he's good at listening. He doesn't.
Yeah.
It's true.
And that's your job. Is
Joko
just make sure
Willings,
stuff
though.
doesn't go crazy.
Joko
That's your
Willings.
main job.
Be the voice
I'm
of
just saying,
America.
you gave Elon Musk a 90. He's not a president. Don't you think Rogan would be higher?
Um,
He's just a guy who talks to people and
maybe.
and he's a comedian and he's a
Competition.
commentator.
And he's got a dog.
He'd be pretty good.
What are
88.
the bad things? Less than Musk?
Well, he's not. He is pretty intelligent. He's not
super
No,
intelligent. We're talking about like in terms of like their job and the benefits.
Yeah, Joe would be great because he'd keep people calm and he'd listen to as
But
many sides of the argument as possible.
You think Elon Musk would be a good president?
Yeah, because he's a science guy. He knows all the technology we need to fix things.
Well, how about we ask the audience?
Oh, yeah.
Super chats.
Yes, super chat
Did
time.
you get in your
Job
super chats?
manager Q.
What would I
Bed.
give Joe Biden? 17.
Build me beds.
Whoa,
Another
real low.
Shockingly
low.
100 beds.
Like he's like, violence is
guess.
bad. Come on, man. And I'm like, that's true. Thank you.
Sorry, Tim, don't feel like listening to your super chats. I've been live streaming Factorio for a few hours now. I should probably stop at some point. Hey, Blake Durek is live.
I had to show the building. Ah! Fuck! The office building. That's in. I think it's like the 12th floor or something. I think it's like the 12th floor. But yes. Hey, Angel of Fire. Yeah, it's kind of like a video that is a stream that is kind of for laughs. You know the Always Sunny Philadelphia, you play the right and the left, you win every time. That's kind of what I'm doing here. Hey, well, glad you stopped on by. Yeah, I really do these kind of streams anymore. So yeah, I'm just getting back in the groove of doing these kind of things. And I'm gonna see what kind of shit I can pull since I'm in the yeah, I gotta put the muzzle on. Go inside. Be a good doggy. But yeah, I'm gonna use my resources since I'm in the YouTube partnership program. Oh, sorry. Nami, it's like 12th floor, right?
Alright, I'm gonna save my game here and stop streaming for today. That was enough. Thanks for stopping by, people. See you another time.